Yeah.
What's up, guys? Josh Law here with the Card Guys, and today I have the great pleasure of interviewing and chit-chatting with Jake McCormack, the Calling Jakarta Champion. How are you doing today, Jake?
Yeah, great. It's kind of the end of the day for me here, you know how time zones go, but excited to be on the channel and excited to talk about Kassai. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever talked about Flesh and Blood at 5 in the morning, but we'll we'll make it work. We'll make it work. So yeah, today we're going to be breaking down Jake's list. We're going to be talking about the metagame, his run during the calling, and go over all three games that he had on stream. And then I think you're also going to talk a little bit about maybe updates for Omens. So if you are a fan of Warrior, a fan of Kassai, fan of winners like that guy, you're going to have a good time today. So I want to start off by asking a question because it it is kind of a running meme at this point in the Purple Discord, and they're like, Josh Lau doesn't like Kassai. Kassai is Josh Lau's least favorite warrior, and I keep on having to joke that I love all my children equally, blah, 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 blah. So my question to you is, why does Kassai actually win events, and Dorinthia and Bolton together have barely 100 LL points in the last 2 years?
So, it's actually very simple in my opinion, and I think it's just because Kassai actually does have the best hero abilities ever printed for a warrior. I
Mm.
think it's actually that simple. I think Dory was printed in a very different mindset of how the game works. I think that one makes sense for like the time period it was created. Whereas more recent heroes are like trying to capture kind of the spirit of Kasai. Like Fang, for example, I think is actually a very comparable hero ability.
Mhm.
I would definitely put Fang as the second best hero ability on a warrior.
Mhm.
And then I think Bolton classically just has under supported cards because of the fact that he fits a very dynamic and strange way of the class playing. I think it comes back to fundamentally the class's identity. And a
Mhm.
lot of people have a very like big misunderstanding of how warrior is meant to function in Flesh and Blood. And it's been something I've kind of hyper obsessed over with this deck in particular, and I know it's been a point of contention for people who don't understand certain card choices like draw swords, for example. Um, I think everything ties back to this fundamental theory of warriors are like the masters of weapons in Flesh and Blood, and the reward for them getting to get access to the best rated weapons in the game, in my opinion, but also the best rated abilities around weapons, like Kasai's hero ability, all kind of tie back to this theory of you don't need to be above rate on your cards because you are above rate on your hero and on your weapon. And I
Mm.
think that actually makes a lot of mechanical and flavor sense. Like, you know, a lot of people always say like Sharp and Steel, for example, is a terrible card. And contextually in the game of Flesh and Blood, yeah, the card sucks.
Mhm.
So does Outland Skirmish. But contextually in the context of Warrior and the fact that you're already above rate, Sharp and Steel is actually a very good card.
Mhm. Yes, we are the ones with the best weapons in theory. Especially considering that they've now removed the one cost weapons from Runeblade. Now we're the ones with the one cost weapons, which is nice. So
Yeah.
you mentioned how Kassai has a very 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 powerful hero ability, and yeah, I think that's part of the reason. I also think that she just has some of the most impactful power cards that solve very very important problems, namely Raise and Army. This was so I played a little bit of Kasai the wrong way, quote unquote, and I was like, this is such a powerful card, even if you're not playing with the sword, you're playing like with the hatchets.
Mm.
Um, this solves so many problems that just Dorinthia couldn't solve against like Guardians. Bolton has to run Remembrance, and even then might not even get there. So, like this
Mhm.
card, Blood Follows Blade, alongside Blood on Our Hands, like these power cards feel like actual power cards compared to some of the other ones. I obviously cards like Lumina Ascension is obviously very good, but I feel like the Kasai cards just kind of synergize very very well, and that's part of the reason why she's won three callings and the other warriors have not done anything. So yeah. So let's take a look at your list a little bit. This list is using Centauri Saber Hot Streak. Now, this is a very stylistic thing, but I also think that not just, you can't just pick whichever one you want. You have to build the deck around it. So tell me a little bit about why you picked Centauri Saber Hot Streak instead of, two Sabers.
So there's two big reasons I pivoted to Hot Streak Saber. If you look at my Australian Nationals list from last year, I was on Double Saber. And the reason I was on Double Saber over Double Saber Hot Streak is because specifically into Gravy Bones, you needed to execute a big enough Blood on a Hand's turn to actually close out the game. A lot of your, possibly two, a lot of your advantage into that deck was based off the fact that you could deal enough damage to kill them before the fatigue math set in. And that's kind of persisted, so Double Saber was just good because that 1 to 2 extra damage actually came up quite frequently in my testing. In one of my updates, to the Kassai guide, which is kind of where I keep all my information on this deck, I think it was around Calling Sydney, I actually said if there is ever a Fatigue Guardian or set of Fatigue Guardians in the format, Hot Streak automatically becomes the default choice. And then we had Pallades drop with Super Slam. We had Damien's Pallades list become really popular.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Also had, and then we had Jarl see a recent uptick, specifically at Pro Tours and higher level events.
Yep.
And all of these things together kind of just made me go, okay, I'm not allowed to give the concession of playing the second Saber anymore. I need to be on the Hot Streak, and I haven't really looked back since that November. It's really seemed to be the correct choice.
Yeah, that's actually something that I guess we could talk a little bit about briefly, is that the meta game at Jakarta did have quite a few victors. In fact, that was the most represented deck. Even decks like Huntsman could be played very defensively. We see Jarl over here. We see Valda. Did the projected metagame, adjust how you built your deck, or maybe the style that you were going for?
Yeah, so living in APAC, I kind of know that callings around here are going to focus on two predominant factors that I notice always change things. The top few decks are always going to stay the same, the top one or two. I expected Victor and Arachne to be the most piloted decks.
Yep.
I actually expected there to be slightly less Acilio. I've just noticed he's not super popular in the region. I was expecting much more Syndra. But I was definitely expecting this super wide, flat meta. If we see we've got some 12 and 8s, and then we've just got hella 4 to 7%.
Yeah, you could face anything round 1, round 2, round 3. I think I want to talk a little bit about the Acilio matchup in particular. Now, it's no secret that Wizards have been traditionally very, very difficult for not just Kassai. Most warriors struggle into Wizards. Did you adjust your game plan for Acilio? Did you consider sideboard cards like Bell? What were your considerations there?
So I've thought a lot about the Acilio matchup and also the Verdance matchup when that was around. I'm on the record stating that I'm pretty sure the Verdance matchup was actually positive for Kassai if you just played it properly and had your deck built correctly. Acilio, on the other hand, is really interesting, I think, because the deck fundamentally, you cannot beat the high rolls when it does it. When it does the thing, it does the things. Round 1 of Proto Yokohama, I was playing Mario and I just got blasted for 51 damage, turn 2. When it does that, it does that. There's no questioning. That's why the deck is the best deck in the current format before it gets all the bans with Omens. The thing you have to understand about beating the deck with Kassai is the cards that matter in this matchup are cards you're already running, and the cards that you can sideboard are not as impactful as you think they are on paper. You can put 3 bells in your sideboard, but you give up an entire card to play it, and that's an entire card's worth of tempo and potentially an entire turn worth of damage that could be going to killing your opponent.
Yep.
That's if you go first into Acilio, it's actually it's not horrendous. It's
you can.
I'm on record as saying the matchup is it's 30-70, I think. It's really not as bad as people think it is. I'm just on the AB0, just kill them plan, because if you play AB, it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I was testing Cap Fortress before Proto Yokohama, and I didn't find it effective, and I just put the deck down because I expected so much Acilio. Whereas for this event, I conceded the fact that I was going to play maybe 1, maybe 2 Acilios, but probably not. and then the quantity of Syndra, Dash, and other good predators like Marionette would probably keep it down enough that as long as I got through the first few rounds, I'd be okay.
Okay. Yep. Sounds very, very reasonable. And I definitely agree with the just kill them plan. You good Asilios could play through a Bell. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. So just looking at the other equipment, these are pretty standard things. I guess my main question is, so most matchups you're running Crown of Dominion, and I guess maybe these come in against Warriors, and this is like against decks that are actually going to draw two. Like Marlon.
I will actually.
Yeah.
I'll actually say, like, I think Kabuto is technically my most played helm. I'm not actually sure on the ladder of this, but it's like it's very close to the most played, or it is the most played.
Okay, so then I guess my follow-up question would be: there's no room for Crown of Providence if you're just after that two block.
The reason Kabuto is the most played is really weird. It just comes up into so many decks with the sequence thing. Like obviously things like Mario. Mario in particular, it comes up quite a lot into Huntsman as well.
Yep.
It's really weird, but stopping the scale peeler swing when they're trying to convert blue tunic counter, blue Codex CNC, for example, and like getting to stop that is really effective, just by blocking 2 on the first chain link to keep the armor around.
Okay.
Some people run Bodge instead in that matchup because they like turning off the scale peeler that way, but honestly, it's just it doesn't come up in my opinion. Like it can come up, but just not that frequent.
I see.
Kabuto comes up into like Tough Nut, all of the brutes as like a 7 value helm. Comes up into every single warrior mirror. I've already talked about Mario and Huntsman. Where's the really other? It comes up quite a lot into Syndra.
Ira, Syndra.
Turning off dual threat. Like that's like at least like 12 decks. I'm pretty sure that I just named. Like it comes up so much more than you would think. It's actually pretty good into Vincent. Turning off the extra flail swing actually comes up really frequently, and you want the block 2 helm anyway. Specifically because there's a really common line you do where you block a card Dynamos plus the Kabuto to block 6 on one of the widespreads, for example. That play comes up very, very frequently, in my opinion, and stopping it on the flail so that they can't use any extra action points off of Eloquence tokens, for example, comes up quite a lot.
Okay, so what matchups are you running Crown of Dominion in? Is this for matchups where you need a larger Raisin army, not just access to a gold token? Okay.
It's literally always just for fatigue matchups, basically. I think fatigue matchups, and then, of course, the matchups where you don't need to raise, but you need to raise much faster than you would normally. There's like 2 versions of the raise plan, in my opinion. There's the mid-range raise plan, where you try to do it for 3, 4, 5, and then there's the actual fatigue version of the raise plan, which is more like 6, 7, 8.
Yep. All right. That sounds good. Everything else pretty stock standard. You got Nullrune Hood there. Only played in one matchup, I presume, because you said Asilia is just gonna kill him. So it's just for Vincent.
Yeah, you just gotta. It's like it's one of those cards that I always like think about taking out, and then I'm just like, I'm gonna cut this and I'm gonna pair 3 Vincent. It's gonna happen. I can't do it. I did it at like 1 RTN, and then I like kept like sitting next to my friend who plays Vincent, and I was like, it's not happening. It's going back in the deck. I can't lose a game because I just decided to cut 1 card. It just can't be a thing.
Yep. LSS, if you're listening, if you could give us a warrior Nullrune Hood, that would be amazing. I'm sure all the warriors from now till the end of time would really like that. I got a little bit of that drug with Soulforge gauntlets as Bolton. I'm like, oh. I got AV with upside. Oh, okay, hold on. I like this. So, please, if you're gonna give us anything, give us something in the hat, please. All right, let's take a look here at the deck. So you got 71 cards here. Now, obviously, certain cards like Gravekeeping gonna be sideboard. Maybe Sigils, Blunton. These are sideboard cards. How do you want to like break down this list? Because it's
I think Yeah, I think the best way of understanding the list is to understand my general deck building philosophy when it comes to Kassai, particularly how it relates to the mirror. I'm a really, really big opposition of playing fake cards. And what I mean by fake cards is they don't contribute to the overall deck's damage. They don't contribute to the overall deck's source of go again, which is also another form of damage. They don't contribute in the form of blocking. They don't contribute in anything really other than card acceleration or card quality. The two most obvious examples of this are Gorganian Tomb, which you will notably know is not on the list
Not
at all.
yeah, not here. Yep, Gork Tome, not
And
here.
I have a Phidia. That's the other one that I
Mhm.
just like. I refuse to play. And Seduce Secrets is probably like the third biggest offender of this in my head.
Yep.
I sort of count Sigil as one of these too, but like
Mhm.
it's like just enough of a card for me to like justify playing it because it's so good on the macro level.
Yep.
But yeah, like and the reason I don't like playing these cards is because when you're playing fatigue matchups where every card matters, and particularly the mirror, which I think if you haven't played a lot of the Kassai mirror, you will really, really, really struggle
Mhm.
playing a list like that into something like I play.
Yep.
It's because when you play these cards and you functionally reduce your deck count, or with Eye of Ophidia and Gorganian Tomb specifically, you reduce your ability to block in the circumstances which give you the flexibility to actually win the game and enact your own game plans.
Mhm.
You lose so much equity, particularly in the end game. And Gorgtome is just a whole liability by itself, obviously.
Yep.
It's not worth the inclusion for a minor power spike into matchups that you can win by just playing better
Mhm.
than it is just playing good cards. Like, there's enough good
Yeah.
cards in this deck to, like, justify playing the deck by itself. You don't need to add, like, variance unnecessarily.
If you've played enough Flesh and Blood, a no block has definitely gotten you killed before. So
Yeah.
either directly or indirectly. So yeah, I do agree on the Gorg Tome. Okay,
Mm.
so I guess the main things to talk about are certain things like ratios. The golden ratio generally is around like you pick an even number of yellows 14, 16,
Yep.
18, something like that for the hero ability.
Mm.
It looks like you landed on 19, but I mean Blunted is not going to come in every matchup, and Riches is never going to the graveyard, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like somewhere between 14, 15. Which, have you experimented with a little bit higher or lower yellow counts, or does this just
Yeah.
feel about right?
I've played as little as 10 yellows plus riches,
Okay,
and the max I played was 22 plus riches.
interesting.
Which
Okay.
was right at the start. That was a
Mhm.
really weird period.
Mhm.
But the big thing with this list is actually I was on 16 yellows plus riches up until literally 10 minutes before the tournament started, and then I ended up deciding to cut both copies of Sink Below, which you will notably like
Yep.
see is
So
absent from the deck for two slice and dice.
Yep, yep.
Um, Me and Isaac, who was traveling with me for this event and came 12th at the Pro Tour on Kassai,
Mhm.
we talked about this a lot, and particularly with the ratio of defense reactions.
Yep. Three,
The
4, 5, 6,
biggest
7. Yep.
Yeah. The biggest thing about like the deck is you play 9D reacts and
Mhm.
it's like great, but you also you like increase your fatigue ability into decks like Dio, etc. But you take away from the deck's fundamental strength, which is that it can pivot between fatigue and just killing your opponent on
Mhm.
efficient 2-card hands.
Yep.
If you play 9D reacts, it's like great until you like need to like push the last bit of damage because you had the potential to just close out the game that way. But then you draw like you draw two Sink Belows or something like that, and just like your hand collapses. And Sink Below actually is like, I'm still not convinced it's like worse than Fateful Seam, but I'm kind of trusting in Isaac's opinion here. Like, just playing two less copies of Sink Below just felt like the right choice for this event, and playing two yellow Slice and Dice instead for the extra activation into Victor in particular, um, particularly linked into the macro strategy that we were employing into that deck for this event.
Yeah. Being able to activate Kassai 6, 7, 8 times in addition to Riches will allow you to play Raise an Army for 6, 7, 8 gold, which is, really closes the door on those fatigue matchups.
Yeah, particularly it's not just activating, it's activating in a row
Yes,
because
and
the
it quickly, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the tempo and the pressure that activating Kasai 4 turns in a row gets you
Mhm.
will close the game in the majority of games you play.
Yep. Okay, one of the cards that is kind of unique is
Yeah.
Gravekeeping. So I guess this targets things like Phoenix Flame, the Dagger, Visit the Gold Main Estate. There might be a couple other important cards to banish. What I think you mentioned that
Yeah.
you didn't play this card during the tournament, but it was there. Yeah.
So this card's really funny because I
Mhm.
functionally played this event with a 77 card deck because I just didn't play my great.
Right.
But it's also really funny because it sort of won me my semifinals anyway.
Hmm. Yep, there
So
were some mind games there. Yep.
yeah, so this card was only in the deck for two reasons.
Hmm.
There were two very good reasons to be fair. One, so this card slot was originally Pilfer the Tomb,
Okay.
um, which was for the Gravy Bones matchup. The Gravy Bones players have worked out how to beat Kassai.
Hmm.
Um, and typically it's by fatiguing you with a combination of Prismatic Leyline, Recurred by Scuba, doing the thing over and over again, and playing Conquerors and CNCs and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
The whole deck is kind of a reaction to my run at Calling Yokohama after
Hmm.
not playing the deck at the Pro Tour.
Hmm.
So part of that was I really wanted to play Pilfers. I think Pilfer is a very good card, and I think playing 1 to 2 Pilfers just slams the door in the Gravy's face.
Hmm.
Um, Time Walk is a really good Flesh and Blood card.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And in the fatigue matchups, it's just 2 more blues in your deck, which is like kind of nice. And then in the mirror, it just banishes a yellow, so it turns off 1 activation,
Mhm.
which also steals you some tempo. So it's like kind of good there too. The reason this turned into Gravekeeping is because while at the Pro Tour, I was walking around and I was talking to Nick Butcher sometime after round 3, and he was like telling me about this Victor deck that they're playing. And this is the
The
most
block slot
degenerate
Victor.
pile of cards. Most degenerate
Yep.
pile of cards I've ever heard of.
Yep.
Um, and upon testing it with the team, I realized like if I play into this deck and they know what they're doing, I don't think I'm ever beating that deck. But
Yep.
if I play Gravekeepings and I catch them out, it is very, very, very easy to win that game.
Yep.
The other reason that Gravekeeping came into the deck is because it's plus 15 deck damage.
Mhm.
It's really good
Yeah.
in fatigue against fatigue decks because quite often they'll have at least one recursion mechanic built into their deck. Like in Pleiades, if you banish their call for backups, it's pretty annoying.
Yep.
And can lead to the game state turning more into fatigue math on your side.
Mhm.
Against Syndra, obviously you can hit a dagger. I think that's particularly good when you go second, or potentially if you expect your opponent to be on the Flamescale Furnace plan. I didn't have enough time to test that one in particular. I think I would definitely play it into Phi. That seems like a pretty good place for it. Obviously, hitting that Phoenix Flame is like up to like 10 value, so it's pretty good there.
Sure.
These are all places where the card like is really good. It's a shame it didn't come up. The only person on Fatigue Slop Victor, it turns out, was Isaac, who was helping me with the stand. And even though he did top 8, we didn't manage to pair in
Right.
in any of our rounds. So, but if we paired, I was prepared. I was also hunting down Justin Q all event,
Mhm.
just sitting down next to him every turn and just being like, "Hi, Justin, let's sit down, let's get our game in." Like,
Yep. I hear you. Um,
mm,
there are several cards that I want to discuss that aren't here. So some people like running 2 or 3 Nourishing Emptiness. You just went with the
mhm.
one. Is it kind of your whole deck philosophy of you want things to be good, and the second Nourishing may not be? There's a chance to draw them together, or they
Yeah,
appear on a clunky hand where you need to press damage.
part of it is the consistency thing, like you
Mhm.
say. I always tend to lean a little bit more towards the consistency side of things.
Yep.
The other thing with this one specifically is like in the matchups where I want to go to 71 cards, if
Mhm.
I draw Nourishing Emptiness and I've got 3 Grave Keepings in my bin, I'm gonna look real dumb.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay, yeah. That makes
yeah,
a lot of sense now. Yep. That's a great
yeah.
point.
I'm a really big fan of the second Nourishing. I played the second Nourishing at the Nationals that I came 10th at,
Mhm.
calling Auckland. I think I played it at Sydney.
Mhm.
Yeah, I ended up playing it at
Yeah.
Sydney. And generally, when Gravy is popular, I'm a big fan of running 2 with this card. This was
Yes.
just a particular call for this event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is worded in a very friendly way. A lot of the old school
Mhm.
cards, this was printed in Monarch, the 4th set. A lot of the cards from the first couple sets, they just say, if this
Yeah.
hits. Not if this hits a hero, if this hits a person wearing a red shirt on a Tuesday. No, none of that garbage. It
Yeah.
just says if this hits. So it's quite nice. Another card
Yeah.
that is quite popular, and I don't see this in your list, is In the Swing. So, like,
Mm,
basically, your only way to ensure that you get a gold token is with Blade Flurry or Jagged Edge.
yeah.
There's no other like, yeah, there's no other way to push damage. But you know, have you found that's enough, or do you kind of miss In the Swing?
I No, I love In the Swing. I like used to register the card quite a lot. It's actually one of the biggest thing I disagree with Isaac about.
Mhm.
The problem with In the Swing is if you scroll down slightly, there's a card right there in the yellow section,
Oh
just
boy.
right on the end.
Oh no.
No, no,
Oh
no.
oh.
I'm
Here we
sorry.
go.
Yeah.
ah.
Um,
Mhm.
do you know how often this thing comes up? It's so annoying. It's like there was a very long time that was on Sharp and Steel as well instead of In the Swing
Mhm.
because the fact that it works with sharpened senses is really impactful.
Mhm.
Um, the thing about the draw swords build of the deck is if you know how to play it properly, you should be able to hit damage caps that outvalue the quantity of defense your opponent could possibly have multiple times a game. One of the big things I like to talk about the deck is that it actually has a very good Pleiades matchup as long as you play it properly.
Mhm.
Um, if you understand like the power of like if you go like draw sword, slice and dice, unsheath, like blade flurry or something like that, which happens a lot. If you do that, your opponent will almost never be able to block it out, and if they will, they can do that once because they used a lot of armor to do so. Even the best decks at blocking in the game, you know, Yo Yals, your Pleiades, etc., they all have a finite cap to how much damage they can physically block, even if it's by 1 or 2 points. But in those matchups, it doesn't matter if it's by 1 or 2 points because then you got to create a gold.
Yeah.
And then the other card that obviously does a really big job is Jagged Edge into those matchups. Because literally all of those decks have a damage prevention mechanic, and if you just line up your Jagged Edge on a gold activation turn, you get to create like one of the best defensive swings in the game.
Yep. This is one card 7 or one card 8 if you can hit an Oasis Respite. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good. Pretty
yeah.
good. Okay. I guess the other thing that sometimes people talk a little bit about is 3 copies of the. Well, obviously everybody runs 3 copies of Bloodfall's Blade, but 3 copies of the other 2 specs. You landed on 2 and 2.
Mm.
Have you found that 2 is the right number for both of those, or do you kind of wish you had
Yeah.
3?
Sell my child tomorrow if I'm wrong, but I think 2 blood on a hand. That's like I will not be like stop being convinced of that. I played 2 ever since calling Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So 2 blood on
Raisin
our
Army
hands.
is
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Raisin Army I think can very easily go to 3 copies if you're in a fatiguey meta.
Mm-hmm.
I think next meta there is a very high probability I'm moving to 3 copies of this card. And the reasoning for that is Blood on Our Hands is like the most criminal offender of you draw it with 0 copper out and you go, why am I doing this with my life? Like you draw like Sigil, Blue, Blood on Our Hands, and Skirmish. Like that's your hand, no Vigor tokens in play, no copper in play. And you
Yeah.
just go, what am I doing here? My hand blocked 12. Like that's
Yep.
all it do. Whereas like Raise is a bit more of a case of the card's more of the 3rd copy is more of a sideboard card, and the 2nd copy is quite frequently a sideboard card. So it's much less offensive to have the
Mm-hmm.
3rd copy in the deck. It also comes down to some fundamental theories about deck slots. Like if you expand the number of 1s and 2s in your deck to include the cards that are more impactful in specific matchups, these are your cards like Take It on the Chin, Blunton, Sigil, and the D-Reacts Full Stop, and High Current, which is not really a sideboard card, but it does come down to a deck slot thing.
And
And then, of course, Jagged Edge,
yep.
and Nourishing. Like, all of these cards are, like, really fundamental examples of cards that are 1s and 2 of, that you just put 1 or 2 in your deck, and your deck becomes so much better into specific matchups, that it's always better to make the decision to play less copies of a card that you can just play differently with in order to include them.
Yep. There's also a lot of benefit from having just 2 is that they often think, where's the 3rd? And maybe they have to block a pointless Spoils of War. you know it's pointless. They don't know it's pointless, so you can get
Mm.
some advantages there. You mentioned high current currency. This is a pretty nifty card. Have you did you encounter any victors that didn't tick their tunic up because of this?
I did indeed get one particular victor, I'm pretty sure, with high current currency
Mhm.
on. I believe it was also turn 2. It was kind of filthy.
Yeah. Oh.
But like, yeah. The other reason this card is in the deck is because there's a bunch of decks that fundamentally can't beat you unless they tick up their tunic.
Mhm.
Uh, Namely Huntsman, Mario, and some builds of Victor. All three of those can't really beat you unless they play their tunic and just
Yep.
hope you don't draw the high current in the right place.
Mhm.
Victor in particular, I think, is the least offensive because that deck can hold its tunic for like 6 turns and it doesn't care. Mario, it comes up quite a lot because this is a 1-card play that functionally draws you 2 later in the game. And also leaves you the line of getting to raise against them, which comes up.
Yeah,
It does come up X percentage of the time. That's very important.
they Mario's have a very tough time dealing with with these allies.
Yeah.
Because they were printed in 2025, and a lot of their stuff says "hit a hero." So,
Yeah.
that is quite good. Um,
Mm.
all right, I mean the rest of the cards are pretty stock standard.
Oh,
Anything
there is
else you
one
want
other thing with high current.
to? Hmm.
Yeah, that thing with high current. Every other good Kassai player plays Tunic, and it's always been something I've argued heavily against. And this card kind of just sealed like the last nail in the coffin for me. Because if you play high current in the Kassai mirror, and you get high currented, you lost the game on the spot. You actually just are not winning the game. Like,
Hmm.
and if you don't take up your Tunic, you also lost the game. So, yeah, this is like one of the big arguments of the deck, and this is something I've always really staunchly advocated for Grains over.
Yep.
I've read a lot of arguments from other people like Shoma about why they play Tunic, and I understand their logic, but I don't think it applies to Flesh and Blood as a trading card game. One of the big arguments I hear is there's a lot of mental load involved with Grains.
Mm.
My formula is very simple. Is my opponent dying if I pump this by 1, or they forced to give me another card? Otherwise, I'm always making a Grains token.
Yep.
It's actually that simple. Like I've done like a lot of analysis on it. It's literally always the correct decision.
Yep.
Like
Yep,
there isn't another decision. Unless it's pressing a breakpoint, it does not matter. You should be making a Vigor token because the Vigor token is always worth more.
Yep. There's a little bit more debate when you're playing Dorinthia because sometimes I don't activate bracers and I don't activate grains to bluff that I'm going to play this 1-cost attack reaction, or sometimes I just plan on arsenaling it, so then I'll go down to 0 resources. So there's a bit more mental load on that, but I think in Kassai, it's like, well, you have an extra resource, burn it into grains. Maybe you could burn twice into grains, draw, take it out of the chin, like a good gamer, and have a easy turn next turn.
I understand in theory what they're talking about.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure you do see me on one stream game, like, really ponder what I'm doing for a second on Grains.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time, it's, like, way quicker, and you don't really have to think about it. And I think you also have to consider that you do get mental load by having to take up Tunic every turn. Tunic also leads to more misplays, in my opinion. Like, you can definitely forget to take up your Tunic in a critical spot.
Yep.
The only other card choice that I think is really, like, specific and a bit different with this deck is Triple Provoke.
Hmm. Oh, I've been a big fan of Provoke. I think this is like a great card.
So I think this also comes down to like fundamental understanding of math in Flesh and Blood. If you take a card from your opponent's hand, or just make them discard it. If it's one for like discard, on a very surface level, you go, well, that's a negative trade because you discarded a card to make them discard a card. And that's if they discard it. If they added it to the chain link, which, let's be honest, we're always doing that to make them overblock, so it doesn't really matter. They're functionally discarding anyway.
Yep. Because
the thing is, you're not discarding a card for a card. You're discarding a blue that you couldn't filter out your hand. That also potentially gives you go again off hot streak. And you're also reducing the fact that Flesh and Blood cards are not... Yeah. Like, many Flesh and Blood decks are not additive. They're multiplicative.
Yep.
when it comes to the value they can generate.
Yep.
Like, if you play against a Mario and their hand is like, I'm trying to think of a really good example of this, but if it's like blue, attack react, codex or something like that, and they want to, let's say, because you're playing Kassai, you don't have an arsenal, you don't have like anything that you're going to recur back by codex, so you won't have an arsenal. They want to recur back Mark of the Black Widow instead. You've now taken, like, by taking that attack react, you then reduce the range of the Hunter's Clave to mark you in that circumstance.
Yep.
Which is then taxing their flick knives. Like, this is a really, like, kind of bad example, but it kind of illustrates the point I'm talking about, where there is a lot of circumstances where having an additional card is very different to having another card.
Yeah, I'll provide another example because it's a little bit more straightforward. So Syndra on 4 cards can easily threaten Mask of
Oh yeah, that's a much easier one.
Syndra on 3 cards is never forcing Mask of Metafy against a Dynamo Warrior.
Yeah.
So being able to take a single card from Syndra can be the difference between having to worry about Mask and not having to worry about Mask. I also think this card, like, this is actually a blue 3-pump if you think about it in a weird way, because like if your opponent is blocking your first saber, let's say 3-on-2, and you provoke that, force them block 6-on-2, it's basically adding damage to your second attack that they can't block.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of situations where provoke can get you out of some weird loops at the end of the game. I often bring up Jarls recycling Oakenolds and fusing them. Like, being able to take away a key card at the end of the game could also be really, really, really impactful. I've always loved 3x provoke in every warrior, even Fang.
Yeah.
Fang, Dory, everybody except Bolton.
Yeah.
3x provoke.
There's the other really important place that I think it comes up is there is a lot of decks that only function well on 2-card hands. Kassai is one of those, don't get me wrong. When you provoke someone, because they've already blocked with 2 cards. Yeah. Like, felling the crown. Like, if you provoke someone on a 2-card hand and make them play a 1-card hand, it is surprisingly frequent how often they just pass turn.
Yep.
Like, and in that case, it's like your card was not worth 3 value; it was worth 6 value. Like, in the mirror, it comes up so much. Like, playing provoke without the mirror is so much harder.
Yep.
Like, playing provoke. It's also another card that, like, because it's that +3 value you talked about, if you do like a crazy big draw swords like unsheath turn, and then you provoke on the first chain link, you're hitting on the second chain link.
Yeah. You're
getting that gold.
This is ensuring that this triggers. And then you get this, and then you get this. So, you know, this eventually becomes this.
It's like it's surprising how good the card is for a blue. Like, I've often thought, if this card was a yellow, would you play it? And I was like, yeah, of course we would. But like, the more interesting question is, if this card was a red, would you play it? And I genuinely don't have an answer about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if this costs 0, there could be an argument. We'll see.
Yeah, it's like, I could really see it. That's the problem. I could like kind of see it just being like evaluated again by people and realizing it's good enough to play in red, which is kind of crazy. That's about it for the list. I think most things make a lot of sense. It's like everything that's like pretty makes sense. Everything that doesn't make sense, I feel like we've explained. I guess we should probably talk about draw swords slightly. That's
there's 6 draw swords here. Argument. Some people are playing as low as just 2 reds. So
people have a lot of arguments about. Well, people used to have a lot of arguments about this card. I think ever since they started doing well with the deck, and a couple other people have started doing well with the deck with draw swords, people have stopped arguing about it as much. But there used to be this big argument about draw swords versus blade runners. Yeah. And when you actually like break down the math behind it, it doesn't make any sense in the slightest to even have remotely any argument about it. Like, when you consider the fact that a lot of the deck is also pitchless, it really stops making sense as well. Like, when it comes down to it, so this links back to the hero power, and this actually really neatly ties into what we were talking about at the beginning with hero powers and how good they are. Kassai fundamentally offers the premise and the starting point at the start of the game that as long as you have a go again source, and you have the ability to pay for your sabers, and you've drawn a card this turn, you can generate +5 value on any turn cycle you were talking about. Let's say your hand is like 4 sharp and steel, but you managed to draw a card and you had go again. That means that you're getting the 1 value from Valiant Dynamos, and then you're getting the 4 value baked into your swords for free. Draw swords is the cleanest way of achieving drawing a card without spending additional cards in the entire warrior card pool, other than Gorganian Tomb, but we've already discussed why I hate that card. It's a block 3, it turns on Sharpened Senses. The way I evaluate the red is that it's a 0 for 5, because you get refunded the card that you draw, which covers the cost of playing the card, but then you also get the bonus resources, which covers at least one satyr. So I always evaluate the blue in terms of value math, like a 0 for 5, that's conditional. Oh, 0 for 5 is a conditional, so that kind of is what it is. And then the yellow is a 0 for 4, but it has the benefit of being a yellow, so you should be playing it anyway.
Yep. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent, Jake. Flavor text...
That one... Yeah.
The flavor text is from Olympia. This sword looks like the sword they're giving to him. Golden Grail. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty identical. It's actually like, I wonder if they used it as graphics.
Yeah. There might be some flavor continuity here. Interesting.
It's also like clearly a Kassai card. Like, I don't know who was doing the flavor on this card in heavy hitters, but this card was also way better in Kassai and draft.
Way better.
What were they cooking? What were they thinking? Like, I don't get it. Can I get a reskin version, please, in Mastery Pack Warrior? Can I get that?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, maybe that's what the Kassai artwork where she's going like this. Maybe it's just reskin draw swords.
Okay.
We don't get nice things, so maybe it's just
that. That could be. You know, there's 2 versions of In the Swing. They have the sword in the swing, and then the promo version is the axe in the swing. So maybe they could give you a Kassai themed draw swords. That would be, this looks very draw swordy as well. So
it's definitely in the class for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your run at the Calling. So let's pull that up here. So this is so you had 7 rounds day 1, and then that was a cut to top 48, and then we have the final 4 rounds, and then obviously we had the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. Your first 2 rounds were against Katsu, and not just any Katsu. You played against the Katsu, putting Tam round 1. What was going through your mind when you pulled up Gem and you're like, oh, what?
So, it's really funny. I've played a lot of games against Pudding at tournaments, like, because we're both from APAC, we've played a lot of Callings at this point. Pudding actually beat me on camera playing Syndra, round 11 of Calling Sydney with me on Kassai, and that was also my winning in for top 8. So there's a little bit of a grudge there, but we're also good friends outside of the game as well. So like, but we sat down against each other, and then I see the judges scouting around near us. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, I kind of like, I was automatically like, oh yeah, I'm playing on stream. Like, I get it. We were talking before the event, and we both like Kassai a lot. And I was like, oh, what are you gonna bring? It's like, probably Katsu, and I'm like, oh, okay, fair. We sit down. He's playing Katsu, and I'm like, really glad I practice this matchup. Like, something that's a bit insane about me is I practice every matchup. I like will go out my way to find good pilots for like weird decks because I want to know how to play against them just in case they come up. Because the difference between getting a loss because you didn't understand a random deck in the game and like getting just a free win because your deck's better than theirs anyway and you know the matchup is like such a huge percentage in your Calling wins and like your Pro Tour runs as well. So yeah, I like sat down and I was like a little bit confident because I know the matchup and I felt good about it. But yeah.
All right, so that's actually one of the rounds we're going to review. So, just looking through your run here, there's a lot of Victor. There's 4 Victors. There were 3 Marios. Basically, once you got to the winners bracket, you started playing only meta decks. How did those? Was there any like particular round that was kind of standing out?
I think my game round 6 which was a loss, was actually a really good moment where I kind of just had to. I don't know. I kind of just let it wash over me pretty well. Like I feel like I could get tilted from that game, but like I kind of just sat there and I was like, yeah, I kind of just died. There wasn't really much I could do about it. It was just kind of what it was. I didn't get to raise. Just was what it was. But also like that was a really good example of why I was nervous about bringing Kassai to this event, because I've traditionally said the Victor matchup was bad or at least much harder than other matchups. And somewhat famously in Melbourne, where I'm from, I'm like known for losing to Mario. I top-8'd 4 RTNs on Kassai, like out of the 6 we had, and like I bubbled the last 2, I'm pretty sure. And I lost to Mario in all 4 quarterfinals. Like it's definitely like yeah, it's become a bit of a meme. Like but. And Matt Clark, who lives near me and like top 8 of Brisbane on Mario, I'm just like, every time I see him at an event, I'm just like, I'm going to pet Clarky and I'm going to lose. I can't be bothered. But this kind of shows the deck evolutions at Yokohama and after Yokohama. I'll say, like, publicly now, I think Kassai has like a 70-30 or 80-20 matchup into Mario now.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Break that down.
I think the results definitely respect that. 2 big things shifted. Blunton got printed. That's like a pretty big upgrade, and it definitely helped. Notably, I didn't actually resolve many Bluntons like this tournament. Other than like in my finals game, I played a lot of Bluntons that I just pitched because my opponent would go like kiss a death or something, and I would go, God damn it. That comes up occasionally. It does happen. But also I played a lot of this matchup, so I understand it very well, which I think is one of the key things to know.
Yes.
The other thing to understand is that the deck building completely changed since the last event I played with this deck. I don't know if we can find my list from... Not my list from Brisbane, I went 4-3, that was a rough day, but my list from Hong Kong where I came 16th, I don't know if that's public anywhere. But the deck is like very, very different, and that comes down to the contributions Isaac made and his playgroup that worked on it. The big thing is the inclusion of 2 Take It on the Chin and how that relates to sideboarding to Mario. When you go second in Mario with this deck, you play 60 cards and you play 5 damage prevention sources. So your chance of beating the turn 0 flick...
It's like 27%, somewhere on there.
I think it's a little bit higher, but yeah. And that instinctively, when you do that, your win percentage goes up by a significant portion, even if they all weave a spinner at that turn or the turn after. The actual math on how much that shifts the game percentage is kind of crazy. And then with 3 Blunton in your deck with 60 cards, it's a lot easier to beat them as well. And then when you go first, you play more of a heavier deck and understand that the game's going to go longer because the Mario actually wants to take you longer. But you get the advantage of going first, getting an arsenal, and then setting up for a big aggressive second turn, so it's also fine.
That's actually a very interesting point that you pointed out. Like you sideboard a little bit differently going for a second, and your game plan is a little bit different for a second. That's very interesting. Sorry, I cut you off there. What you were going to say?
No. The deck's also very aggressive in a like bit more of a compact form, is what I'd suggest about the list. Like, it's just like very like good at just killing your opponent sometimes. Like you see me just out aggro Nova in the game. Like I went second, my deck was good, so I just out aggroed him. Like he had the turn 0 spinner at, but because he didn't have the mark to like capitalize on the extra value that represents, he just fell behind on tempo. And Nova, I will say, definitely like completely pivoted his strategy between our round 7 game and our finals game. And he was incredibly smart to do so. Because the biggest thing that Mario can do is try to reduce the Kassai's agency and leave it down to the Kassai's deck and how it lines up. Because Kassai doesn't always have the best damage hands in the world. That's just like a thing we're all aware of. Sometimes you go slice and dice, unsheath, pitch, and then you're slice and dice, sharpen senses, pitch, and then your opponent goes frailty trap. Like, like sometimes it happens. Like it happened in my finals game. The thing the Kassai player has to understand is that you need to buy yourself the opportunities with the life total you have to push the aggressive hands. Because the Mario deck is very good at pivoting. Nova's deck specifically is very good at pivoting to the block.
To the more
because it has the extra block threes from stuff like that. Yeah, it has like more mantles, it has more inertia traps, and it has more just a Nix, which are just block 3 reacts that are really annoying to deal with. And Nova correctly recognized that, but the thing I also recognized above that is that if I just keep the tempo because my opponent's blocking, eventually I do just kill my opponent because of things like Blood Follows Blade or Raise an Army.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that's I can't wait to get into those matches. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we break down the 3 matches?
The Victor matchup's really hard. You just have to like practice it a lot. It's like one of those games that you like start playing and you go, "Oh my god, this is unplayable," and then like you slowly pick up things. I tried to outline my macro as best as I could in my guide, but even like trying to put it to paper is like doesn't fully cover the. It doesn't fully cover like how many weird, intricate like block patterns you have to perform to actually get to the game state where you win the game.
Yeah. And I think practicing the Victor matchup is one of those matchups that takes a little bit longer because there's a lot of variance in terms of how quickly Victor sees important cards like Test of Strength, Test of Iron Grip, and whether they win those clashes. So definitely a matchup that definitely going to have to practice quite a bit. Okay, let's break down your 3 matches at Calling Jakarta. All right.
I think the more interesting things are what happens at the end of this game, because I know you were even in the chat like very confused about why I did what I did.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused at the end. All right, so we got round 1 of Calling Jakarta. So this is Kassai versus Katsu. So in terms of macro strategies, what are you thinking about here?
So there's 2 fundamental things you have to understand about Katsu, but also Valiant Dynamos as a principle. 1, Katsu burns cards from his decks to generate above value plays. It actually kind of relates back to the idea of fake cards in your deck. Katsu turns cards in his deck into fake cards that he discards in Fatigue Math to then proceed to generate above value turns. The thing that the Kassai player has to understand is that these turns are limited, and they also come at a cost that leads to game states where it's easier for the Katsu to lose than to win. I've played a lot into the Edge of Autumn build of Katsu as well, and that's very easy because you can just fatigue them. You just wait until they make a slip up with Edge of Autumn, and then you never let it get back, and they just get fatigued by value.
Yep.
This is definitely a 2-card hand matchup. You've got to understand also that you can't just always block the Surging Strike or the first Chain Link. You got to understand that they are very likely going to just tap the thing anyway. Yep. Or have Ancestral. Like, they'll have a way to block it out. So you're better off letting them burn cards from their deck to deal those above rate damage turns in hopes of killing you than you are sitting around waiting for them to just not draw it. Like, that's just not going to work out the way you want it to. And particularly with modern Katsu, they've got things like Tempest Bump, Gust Wave, and additional payoffs that just let you get punished more often.
Yep.
So those are the 2 key things to understand.
Yeah. Well, just looking at this turn 0, you have a very, very strong turn 0 hand that can really put the pressure on a deck that has a lot of 2 blocks. So Pudding looks like going to respect the Copper Generation. And I guess that groan was, oh, he had the 3 blocks.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where I was like fairly happy about why turn 1 went, not because of the counters going on the equipment, because his life total is less relevant than you might think.
Yeah.
But more the fact that I tagged the Ancestral and a Tigerine Reflex.
Yeah.
Let me confirm 2 things. 1, he's only got 2 Ancestrals in his deck. 2, he's only got 2 copies of Tigerine Reflex left in his deck at maximum.
Yeah.
And most Katsu lists are only on 2 copies, so I managed to kind of like lock that up real quick. If we look at my turn 0 hand, it's abysmal for this turn. It's like Shelter, D-React in Arsenal, Blue, something else.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, not the best hand I've ever drawn.
Yeah, high currency, Provoke. Yeah, this is not quite what you want. But you do have that Take It on the Chin in the arsenal, so you do feel a little bit safer against all those Katsu tricks. But I guess the first couple turns of the game, Pudding is just gonna try to get a couple key cards into the graveyard for bonds. So there'll be a little bit of a downtime.
Yeah. There's definitely a bit of a pause that you kind of get. You see me block with the Take It on the Chin on this Chain Link, which looks kind of weird. The problem is that Pudding probably only has 1 more attack after this.
Yep.
Or he could just Arsenal pass. So the thing is here, if I do this and I just keep the Shelter Prevention floating, I guarantee the value from Dynamos, and I guarantee the value from the Take It on the Chin and getting the agility token, so I don't have to,
Yep.
waste a card next turn trying to convert that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and you're going to be able to have a nice 2-card hand. One of the cards is ultimately going to end up in the arsenal, but it's still a very, very nice turn cycle here.
Yeah, we're basically we're arsenaling a D-React here, so we're basically resetting the game, except for we're generating a Vigor token and 4 damage. Like that's exactly where we want to be in life.
Yep.
You can expect Pudding to basically go no blocks this whole game, except for in one circumstance in the end game, which I think is the turn that throws people off the most. But we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yep. I guess we could talk a little bit about equipment usage. So you have Kabuto in this matchup. What type of... Is this like going to block on a Surging Strike? Probably. Or is this just going to be combined with the other 2-block equipment to block something that has 4 power?
I know.
Or how are we going to use this?
I know that Pudding's going to play Pouncing Links. I think the difference between Balance and Kabuto in this matchup is like very negligible, but personally I think Kabuto's the Kabuto edge case comes up more, where they just want to convert 1 Kadachi because you block them out in a weird space or something like that, and then it's 3 value. Typically I want to hold my equipment to the combo turns, like the actual like, oh, I'm gonna like struggle to block this out type of turn. And particularly spots where I don't think a Tenacity is super face up, which does come up, definitely. There's definitely a lot of circumstances where you're not really expecting the Tenacity and it does just kind of pop out. But being able to play around it when you have the information that they're going for a full combo turn and they can't end on Tenacity definitely gives you a lot of additional value out of the equipment.
Yep, we see the second Ancestor Empowerment here, so this is just another thing you don't have to really worry about, because now he only has 1 left in the deck.
Yeah, I was actually pretty thrilled here. I was like, oh, okay, there is like a lot less I have to worry about in this circumstance, and then he's also taking another card out of deck to get a Katsu tutor on the first chain link. His turn will be good, but my turn has a D-React in Arsenal already, so I know I can kind of counter even if his turn is good.
Yep, and because you have the Vigor token, you're pretty content just blocking out and poking back for 2 and going to the next turn cycle.
Yeah, I think this turn also has a really interesting decision with the current cards in hand. I've got blue, Blade Runner, Spoils of War, and I got a Vigor token on the field.
Yep.
I think instinctually a lot of people would go Spoils of War and block with the Blade Runner. The reason I keep the Blade Runner instead here is because I have the 1 resource floating. So, there's 2 reasons not to play the Spoils hand here. 1, if he's incentivized to block out or he has a shelter, I just lose 1 point of value straight away. And then I also lose another point of value from the fact that I'm not going to connect, so I'm not going to get my Vigor token, which I was like pretty down for. If I play the Blade Runner, there's almost a 0% chance he blocks out 2/5. So I'm going to get to remake the Vigor and preserve that value for a turn where I need it. But I'm also going to get the additional value point from just playing Red Blade Runner instead of the Spoils of War.
So in terms of macro strategies, are you less concerned about copper generation in this matchup, or like...
So the copper comes when the copper comes, and if the copper doesn't come, it's fine. It's it's not it's not the most important priority. There's going to be a hand at some point where I have a Spoils of War, and I have to play the spoils out, and I have to just like risk the fact that he might just have shelter and then blocks a card. That's just like fine. That is what it is. I can't play for a possibility that I'm always going to connect with the Spoils of War. Am I going to hope it happens? Of course I am. But it's better to wait for an opportunity where it's later in the game and he doesn't have the ability to block out without losing tempo, potentially in a really dangerous spot, or I could wait until I have a Blade Flurry to back it up, which I'm pretty sure is what happens this game.
Okay. I'm interested to see the macro strategy come into play here. All right, so the Vigor pops, and you're going to send the Hot Streak. So this is the first time we're seeing you push the Hot Streak forward instead of the Saber.
Yeah.
Well, he says that. I mean, Pudding is never going to block at 36 life, so
Yeah,
it's
that's the thing.
yeah.
I understand that he's like almost never gonna block, but you want to pretend like
Yeah.
if you swing the hot screw for 2
It's like, oh no, I
and
don't
he
have
blocks
go
it with like
again.
alpha,
Yeah.
it's just like empirically always correct to
Yep.
like fake out that you don't have it and your hand sucks. Like,
Yep, exactly.
and swinging the bigger damage on the second saber means that they're more incentivized to block it if they do want to block, and then you get the +1 trigger. So it's just always better.
Yep.
I've still got my D-Reacts here, and I'm resetting Dynamos. The other really big thing to understand about Katsu is, like, when they pitch a card, their turn becomes so much worse. Like, even if they fill in that value of Kodachi, if they, like, pitch a card to go Surging Strike for 5, and then go Kodachi for 1, that's 2 cards 6. That sucks. That's worse than every line in the deck.
Yep.
Like, literally every line in Kassai is, like, better than that.
Yep.
Because I refuse to play Yellow Blade Runner, but that's a different argument. Like, so if every time that Pudding does that, he devalues his game plan, and he only has a finite amount of ways to actually make that. Big thing here I know is that he has the tenacity in pitch zone. Now I know about it because of the pouncing link. Some people don't play tenacity anymore; they just fake out like they have it.
Yep.
I presumed it was that, but it was, yeah. And I presumed it was that, but like just knowing it's there is like definitely like a little bit of information that I don't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah. So, we're at like turn 3, turn 4. So Pudding started the game with tempo, which is generally worth about 9 value. But now we've gotten back to a situation where I think he's only maybe 1 or 2 points, quote unquote, ahead. Yeah. So the last 3 turn cycles, you have outvalued him by about 2 each turn. And now, okay, we're seeing a lot of pressure. And that bigger token coming in clutch here. Yeah.
You gotta preserve that value, man. If you gotta let the bigger token flourish, because when it flourishes, it's like the best token in the game.
Yep. It reminds me a little bit of like Fang's fealty tokens. Like if you have a vigor token, you kind of want to, like, you're content blocking your hand out and poking for 2. But if you can play that, block 2, send 2, you can roll that digger token over. Just smooths out a lot of hands, like here when we only have a yellow. So
yeah. And I'm thinking about putting Zacklist here, and I know he will be on minimum D-Reacts. I know that Katsu can't afford to play more than like 6 at maximum, but typically more like 3, 4. And I feel like if I saw more than 3 D-Reacts, I definitely would have seen it by now. We're on turn 4, turn
exactly.
3?
I think it's pretty clear that Pudding's probably on 0 D-Reacts or maybe just 3. So you did mention that Pudding plays Kassai, and do you change how you play a little bit based on like your opponent knowing your deck very well? Like, for example, Dorinthia, I change how I play Dorinthia if my opponent is, at particular levels.
Yeah, I definitely understand that feeling. For me personally, it comes up as a thing of like, there's a difference between knowing the deck and knowing how to play the deck, which I also think that, like, this is probably a very arrogant thing to say, but I think the majority of people know how to play the deck, but I don't think many people understand the deck. I think that pool of people is actually quite small. Chris Ayali is like, we've had a lot of convos about Kassai, and it's like, it's very fun talking to him because he understands what I'm talking about when I start talking about weird math stuff. That's definitely something I always enjoy when I see Chris. But like, even though Pudding's a very good player, I don't think that unless you consciously think about this deck a lot, it'll always come up. I think he understands it much better than most people, don't get me wrong. But I also think that, like, before the game even started, we were talking about it, and he was like, I'm not happy to be sitting down in this matchup. Like, like the matchup's definitely hard for him. Here you see me block on the first chain link, which is something I don't really do that often. One, he's very unlikely to have an Ancestral here. He did have one.
He did have one. Lucky.
But the other thing is my hand incentivizes blocking right now. I really want to use the D-React from my arsenal and just play 2-card hand of Nourishing plus a blue. I got a little bit unfortunate that this was the turn that Pudding decided to go crazy on Twitter. I think this is the turn that he went like 6 links wide, or maybe this was the 4 links wide turn, and then it's followed by the 6 links wide turn.
So it just has the natty. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So
And we're also going to see a heuristic that I stick to pretty heavily in this matchup. Putting Swoon's Whelming for 4.
mhm.
I'm always going to block 5 on this.
Yep.
Especially after I've seen the last Ancestral played, but like I'm still always just going to block 5 on this.
Yep. Breaking
you see me
Scales
just
starts in play, stays in play.
Yeah, it's just like a thing of like even if they've got like Tigrine plus blue, Tigrine plus like Breaking Scales. Cracking Breaking Scales this early actually loses them a significant portion of value, and sometimes they can't convert the extra card in their hand that well. Like if it just goes into Arsenal, it doesn't actually push that much damage that goes above. It actually doesn't make that much macro difference in the game plan. So if he has the double, I'm kind of just like, you're just better than me. Good for you. Like, it's kind of whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. But also, I know this is like the Bond's turn that I have to be worried about. So I just have to get blocky on this turn and really stop as much damage as I can. This turn is fairly face up with what I'm seeing. This is all kind of things that I'm expecting to see. This ended up being a smaller turn than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting him to do like 2 more attacks here, and it ended up just being the same thing.
Yeah, it's just
there's an argument.
Yeah,
I think there's an argument I made a misplay here, because knowing the 1 resource is floating after he plays the bonds and then tutors for something that doesn't have go again, I probably should have just blocked with the Kabuto instead of Brave Forge on that chain link. It's like kind of hard to get face up though, because there's also the chance that he goes like crack boots, salt the wound, or something, or tenacity, or something like that, and then that becomes a bit messy. The thing about Katsu that's kind of annoying is they shuffle their deck so much.
Yep, it's impossible to know. Like
you can't take the gained information that you normally get against upper decks, which is frustrating sometimes, but also like I think it's a strength of the deck that you can't really predict it. Nourishing is incredible here because I know he's still got his links and his cross strap, so I know he's about to go for his big turn. It's always around this damage range that they go for it, so getting to draw 5 on this instance is really, really big. And I'm pretty sure I've still got that D-React in Arsenal that's been sitting there for like 5 turns at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling much more comfortable about where I am compared to where I probably look on camera.
Yep. You're going to have a 5-card hand, good amount of armor, D-React set. Should be able to meet his burst turn with a defensive burst turn. So let's see how this turn pans out.
You see me counting the cards like an absolute goon because I just want to make sure I don't accidentally draw 6. Like I sort of lose it.
I accidentally drew 5 at Pro Tour 3, and I was like, oh no. All right, so we got Ancestral Harmony finds his buddy, which is not how you want it to do, or not how you want it to play out. I'm still gonna get +1 for his combo, but you know,
it's still Art of War. Like it's still a very good.
Yeah, it's Art of War. Yeah, that's a good way to think of it.
And into Kassai, it's like honestly, if he hit there, I think there's a lot of the hits in his deck don't do anything if I just like block out in the right place anyway. But particularly if he did hit there, I think there's much more incentive for me to just like full block this turn. And just wait until the Harmony buff has passed, and then he can't use the breaking. What's the boots called?
The Breeze Rider boots. Breeze Rider boots.
Yeah. There's a lot more incentive because I've still got all the armor. It's pretty easy, even through the Ancestral, to just like stop all the hits this turn. Trying to think what my hand is in this scenario. I think it's a 2-carder.
I think I saw a sigil. I didn't quite get a peek at the other cards. So putting kind of taking a little bit of time to think about his turn might indicate, you know, that as a rule of thumb, it's like if a specialist takes a long time to think, it's either a really complicated situation or they're reluctantly going to have to do something. And I think he reluctantly is like, well, I guess I gotta pop hard and cross straps and surging strike. Just go for it.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, he kind of has to like hit me here. He's behind on damage, and I've still got like a lot of armor. You look at my 5-card hand, by the way, and it's like Outland Skirmish, Fateful Scene, Sigil, draw sword something.
Yeah,
I think
draw
that's yellow
swords.
draw sword,
Yep.
blue. And I've got the D-reacted.
And you got you still have the D-react.
Yeah.
So gonna cover this up.
I'm thinking if I just block out this turn, put the other D-react in Arsenal if he doesn't go off, and then just sigil up to 25, we're gonna replay the turn cycle, but I'm gonna be higher, and he's gonna have to draw another hand that can convert it offensively.
And he won't have hardened cross trap, which is pretty huge. So this is the turn to give armor.
Yeah, he has to convert earlier this turn than he normally wants to. I don't want to give Kabuto yet, because he very clearly does not have the blue to pitch for Kodachi's. He would probably just convert it with Heart and Cross Track unless it's something super important here.
Yep.
You actually see me thinking about de-reacting this pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Because pudding's committed so heavily already.
Yeah,
but I just kind of have to go, I can't block out the next two chain links if I de-react here. He can probably just break Breeze Riders anyway, and it just doesn't matter. It's better to just play the value line here.
Yep. I agree with your decision here. So Mask gonna be popped Katsu trigger as well. Probably just gonna go for okay, so he's got a Flusterfist and a Whelming in hand. Whelming blue, it looks like. So
he just gets bonds here. He gets the last bonds.
Yeah. So I mean, him thinking about this kind of indicates there's a choice on which card to discard. So it's like, oh, they're both 0 costs. A little bit of information there.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there. I think he maybe didn't know if he had used all his bonds yet or not. But well, he'd already used 2. The biggest metric in this game and how hard it is can they use all the bonds before we get to the end game?
Yep.
And this is turn 5, and he's playing his 3rd bonds.
Yep. I mean,
and I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Generally, the rule of thumb is that if they play bonds every other turn, that's about average. If it's in 5 turns, it's a bit above average here.
Yeah, I definitely wanted him to get to it a little bit slower here, but he just kind of got them, which makes sense. It is what it is. They can tutor. It is it's a thing that happens.
Yeah, filled the graveyard pretty quickly. Just took 2 turns to fill the graveyard, and then been, playing turn 3, turn 4 on offense. Looks like gonna discard the Whelming.
I think that's a. Is that a blue Whelming or is it?
It's a blue Whelming.
Yeah. Yeah, which means the Kabuto read was kind of correct. When they draw excess blues, they pretty much always want to convert them into combo cards anyway, especially on an ancestral turn. So this kind of made a lot of sense from my perspective.
Yep. All right, so Bonds of Ancestry getting searched from the deck.
I don't remember if I block with one more. I think I block with one more card in Kabuto and then just take the rest of the damage this turn because there's just. I already think I know all the damage face up by the time he finishes resolving things. Other than maybe the Flusterfist.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was the sick line this turn. So Ego gets
Retrace.
Ego gets Retrace, and he plays Retrace, and this is the one I judge called because I was like, I want to double check what this card does. And he names Open the Center, and I go, there's 2 cards this can be. I'm pretty sure it's Flusterfist or it's something else. And it was obviously Flusterfist, and that's why I blocked the extra card on the Kabuto just to stop the extra 1 point of damage. There's definitely a cool moment where I was like, oh, I have to dig deep in my fab brain and be like, oh. What the hell does this combo with?
Yeah. Open the Center, I think, leads into Pounding Gale and Flusterfist, I believe.
Yeah.
Pounding Gale, I haven't seen that forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, there's no way it's Pounding Gale. That card sucks. There's no chance. But, I could very easily see this card being Flusterfist. That would make a lot of sense. Although there is 2 in his graveyard, and I was like, maybe it's fine. I was like, no, it's not. I should block 5. Honestly, if you just want to fast forward through this bit, I think it makes perfect sense. I'm just blocking out the deny value off the thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a messy turn for me. I'm not thrilled about finishing the turn on 11, I believe. It's definitely a rougher place than I want to be in this scenario.
Yeah, are you thinking about putting the Fate Foreseen into Arsenal, or are you just trying to block all the damage you can now and set the sigil into Arsenal?
So the other big thing people don't realize about Katsu is once the bonds are gone, the deck is so much worse. In this scenario, it's I realized the Flusterfist thing, so I kind of had a read on a Solder Wound or a Flusterfist, so I blocked 4 there. I could very much see a case for doing it differently. I think the card I'm What is my hand? I think it's just Sigil.
It's just Sigil right now.
Yeah.
Down to 12, but I think this game state's fairly even. You have 4 copper.
Yeah.
Your armor's kind of beat up, but Katsu stripper Katsu here has no equipment left, and 3 bonds gone, ancestral gone. Really, just playing hand to hand at this point. And are you trying to slow the game down a little bit, or like what is your macro game? Okay.
So, because I know the 2 best things my deck is good at doing is playing 2-card hands and blocking, and that is probably like Pudding's worst thing that can happen right now. Like, he's just playing like value, like really medium value turns. Like, I think that ends up being 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There was something like 4-card 11. Like, if he doesn't end the game, he does just lose.
Right.
And here you just see me like Kassai, Hard Streak, Blood Follows Blade, because I know Pudding understands that like the game does just have to end. I thought about cracking the gold here and going for the high roll, but I just decided it wasn't worth. We just play out like a good value turn. We play out the 2-card hand. We've got asymmetric information going on here, which I'm a big fan of.
Yep.
I'm functionally on 9. Yeah. Yep. I'm on 9. I know that. He doesn't know that. So he's going to play more aggressively to try and close out the game because he doesn't know the fact that I'm functionally at a higher life total.
And you could get extra value from your soul sword if he lets us live. If he just goes face. Alternatively, he can also like, oh, here we go.
Hit it. Yeah.
Lord of Wind, not exactly what you want. I don't even think he has Mugenshi to lead into it.
And I think this is the point in the game where things become very interesting, and it starts coming back to like all the reps I put into this matchup.
Yeah, let's slow it down a little bit then. We'll go back down.
There's 2 things, like, we're going to go back to those 2 things that I talked about at the start. His deck, once he runs out of good cards, is not that good at converting. My deck is very good at converting on 2-card hands. I just have to stay alive long enough. It's actually really frequent in these endgame states for the Katsu to go Kodachi, attack, no go again, pass. Pudding, I know, will be on the increased amount of extenders, like 100 Winds and Tempest Palm Gust Wave, which is a very good new addition that lets you convert in that way. But unless they draw the combo lines naturally, if they're just blocking you out, it's really hard to convert on rate. Like we see on this turn, he's going 1-1-4, and he's spent 3 cards essentially. He's gone 1 back from the Lord of Wind, but that's like 3. So you're getting like 3, 7, 8, 9 off of 3 cards. That's terrible. That's like objectively quite bad. Like, so I understand if I just block in the right places, we're just going to keep going back and forth, but my better turn math is just going to close out the game. And obviously Dynamos is just like a very good card.
Well, the longer that you can extend, the Dynamos basically counteracts, these annoying breakpoints or the Kodachis. Of note, Katsu's hero ability just says on hit, because he is an old school hero, so he does get to tutor something off hitting the dude. So it's going to go Bonds into Descendant, and this is just, maximum damage. Going to go Descendant into Lord of Wind.
And this is where I really slowed the game down. I had people in the chat calling me a slow player, which I thought was really, really funny, because I just look at his graveyard like 80 times, and I'm like, okay, the 100 Winds are nearly gone. The Tempest Palm Gust Waves are gone. The Bonds are gone. The Descending Gust Waves are mostly gone. Become the Bottles are mostly gone. Like, all of these things that, like, brick his deck are still there, and all of the cards that don't brick his deck are not there, and there's only 1 Shelter in the bin, and I'm like, interesting. So, this endgame state mostly relies on the fact that he's only got 17 cards left in deck. Nearly all of them are bricks. And then 2 copies are Shelter. And when you understand that fact, the game starts making a lot more sense from my perspective. I still get into arguments with my teammates about this game state because they insist I'm wrong, and I'm like, no, I've played it a billion times. This is the way you play this game state. So you see me like tanking really hard, and I do the math because it's all face up. This is 5, 4, 3. And I'm thinking, and I've functionally got a card on board. I've got Blood Red Hands in my hand, which took way longer to get to my hand than I thought it would. It was like, I genuinely thought I would hit Blood Red Hands so much earlier than this. I did the math like in the moment. I think I was like 38 cards deep in my deck without seeing one of the 2 copies. And I was like, oh, that's frustrating, but it's at least it's here. If I can keep the Blood Follows Blade this turn, I knew that the game kind of just ended straight away. And I did the math, and I was like, oh, I have to block it exactly. That's frustrating. if I had to go to 1 to do that, I would have done it there.
All right, kind of crack the goal.
This is the line that messes you up,
Mm-hmm.
I know, because this is the one that we were talking about in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I got blood on our hands here,
Yep.
and the instinctive thing to do is to go +1/+1, go again, attack twice on the same state, and then you're presenting exactly lethal with the Brave Forge, and then if you have a card in hand that converts, you're like killing them.
Yep.
Except for I'd already drawn the card. I know it wasn't killing him because it was sync below.
Yep, has to slow down the game. Yeah.
So the way that I lose the game here is if Pudding just goes, block 4 cards, you convert for 0, you reset Dynamos, you Arsenal a sync below, and then you draw the next hand and it sucks. And I'm on 11. And I got 2 shelters in my deck.
Yep.
And then I just get Kadachi locked and I lose the game.
Yep.
So if I do this line, it incentivizes Pudding to just not block. I get the gold to proceed to play 1-card hands for the rest of the game. And then I also put him low enough that he is in the hot streak lock.
Yep. Having this, having the gold is actually very important for your the next couple turns. So it looks like going to take a couple damage there, going to Arsenal after swinging this. So 2,
that's the
2,
thing. I'm
2.
still putting him to 2. Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's a 3 at the end because of that, but also puts him to 2. So now he's in the 1-card lock with Hot Streak, because the only card in his deck that's left that isn't an attack action is Shelter.
Yep.
Shelter is the worst card for him to draw here, don't get me wrong. Like, that's definitely the Nightmare scenario. This is the other turn that really messes people up. So my Arsenal is sync below. My hand is
Sigil,
Shelter,
Outland Skirmish, I think. No, Raise an Army.
Raise an Army and a blue.
Yep.
And then I sink away the Raise into Red Blade Runner.
Okay.
That's like the big argument that like even the commentators were very confused and thought that I just threw the game here. So I block 5 here because he's got Gust Waves left in his deck. He can go shooter for them. I have to block up the Surging Strike. He has no way to filter.
Yep.
The only other card that really blows me out here is,
and
it's a card I don't think people are talking about. Tigerine Reflex.
Yep.
I've only seen one of those cards, and I know there's at least one more in the deck. I'm like almost certain there's at least one more. You even see it flash on the screen there. So you see me just like pull his deck and just like tank on it for like 4 minutes. I know if we keep playing back and forth, I'm gonna win. So you see me like think really, really hard. I've got the Red Blade Runner in hand now. I've already synced. If I block 3 here, hold the Shelter, Arsenal it, Sigil. I go to 6 life. I'm gonna almost definitely reset my Dynamo because I'm gonna swing a 1-card hand after cracking gold. Swinging with Hot Streak. Statistically, he's not gonna have the Shelter, if he even brought in more shelters. So I'm gonna reset Dynamos. I'm gonna take 1, probably 2 cards.
And then from that game state, should be heavily favored.
Yeah, it's like, and then there's also the fact that I can draw so many cards off the top of my deck with the gold. Like, Blade Flare is the one I ended up hitting. That one was really good. Outland Skirmish. Draw Swords is probably the worst case scenario. That one's pretty bad. Also, if it's red Draw Swords, I think... No, the math doesn't suggest that. And then... Yeah, there's just a bunch of cards I can draw in this scenario that are all, like, amazing hits. There's not many Diriacs left in my deck. But faking out the Shelter here is also just a really good moment. Because if he does go for the Tigrine, he just loses the game on the spot. Because it's the same scenario, but he doesn't get an Arsenal. The last 100 wins is definitely something I probably should have been thinking about a little bit harder, but if he plays it, just block with the Shelter and it's the same thing. So yeah, it's about reducing his range because of the fact that his range is already so small, and trusting in the inevitability that Hot Streak kind of buys us in this scenario.
Yeah, being at 2 versus 3, very, very big difference here. And I do like how you're pointing out, like, this is like something that you have to think several turns ahead to get. You have to think about, like, what does a favorable game state look like? And then how do I navigate to that favorable game state is something that is very, very important for all heroes, but in particular warriors that can play so flexibly on offense and defense. Getting into those favorable board states is very, very important. So now you're back up to 6.
It's not an easy decision. Like, you see me like sit on this for so long because I'm like, it goes outside the traditional logic of what Flesh and Blood looks like, but it's just like fundamentally, I know my deck is better than his in this scenario. Like he's already taken all the good cards out of his deck. I know if the game keeps going, I win the game. I know if the game doesn't keep going and I let it come down to a top deck war, essentially, by going to 1 and using the Blade Runner to take 3 cards, there is more lines where I can lose than there is where I can win.
Yep.
And also the Shelter's just annoying. I hate that card in this exact scenario. It was like I was really, really scared about the Shelter.
Yep.
I think putting Show Me afterwards, and I think there was only 1 more in the deck. I think he only bought it in 2. So I was maybe playing around a little too aggressively, especially considering I'd seen his deck quite a lot, but overall, I think, like, even though I could just take 3 cards and go to 1 and, like, block a Kadachi with the Dynamos and then block another card, it's like if he arsenals the Shelter there and I brick, I do just kind of lose the game on the spot.
Right.
And especially in these late game scenarios, I find it's very easy that you can just lose the game because you just draw like 4 hit and runs and you're like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah. This is only turn 8, so you know your deck will be like, because you haven't shuffled, will be still in its first cycle configuration, and looks like the Blade Flare are going to close it out.
Yeah.
Okay, he had 100 wins
in
the arsenal. That could have been extra.
I'm not gonna lie, I really should have thought harder about it. Just could be 100 wins.
Yeah.
But he had that turn where he played 2 of them, and I just kind of like forgot about it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, there's probably a third one of those.
Yeah. All right. Well, a very, very well piloted game that really showcased a lot of like macro decisions as well as micro decisions there. Yeah, very, very well played there. I like I like the intricacy of that end game there, and I like how you explained it and all that. Any closing thoughts on that game?
I think that, like, in hindsight, there was an opportunity to get that Kabuto block off, but then I'd lose the point on the next turn anyway, because then I'm not blocking the Fluster Fist. So it's kind of literally exactly neutral, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and holding it for an extra turn might make it play a little bit differently. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the second game now.
There's definitely 2 big things to understand with this, maybe 3 big games to understand with this matchup. Yeah, I'll say there's 3 big things. I didn't get to shout Dennis out in my winner's interview because I had to go get my plane, but
rushed off.
Mr. Den, I mistakenly got told there was no winner's interview. It turns out there was one. They just accidentally told me there wasn't, so I got in the Uber. But
you got places to go.
Yeah, Mr. Dennis Zhang, I have to be very humble here and say Mr. Dennis Zhang basically was rooting in my corner for like this whole weekend, and also has been one of the people who like texts me the most whenever I have an insane idea about how to play a matchup. And one of the big things that we were talking about is Dennis like is scouting all of Jason's stream games, and he's like trying to see like what his exact 80 is, because it's not just he's working backwards. It ended up being open list anyway, so it didn't matter. But like he worked backwards, and he knew before the start of day 2 that Jason deterministically cannot have a single copy of a D-React in his deck.
Wow.
And as soon as I got that info, like before I even sat down for round 1 of day 2, I was like, oh, the macro is going to be really good this game if we end up playing. He was actually probably one of the people I wanted to play the most in Swiss going into the day, like in the 6-1 bracket. Like David Yao was the person I wanted to play the least, and we ended up playing. And Jason was one of the people I wanted to play the most.
Well, you got your wish in the semifinals.
Yeah, I got my wish eventually.
Yeah. Okay, so we did mention a little bit about Victor in the previous segments. So what is your macro strategy going into this? I see you loaded out with Crown of Dominion. How fast are you going? What type of key cards are you looking for in this matchup?
But this is an interesting one because I also like argue with Isaac and like a couple other people about this, because I think you have to raise for 3. I think you have to raise for 4 or 3 with a draw and a full hand. Isaac says it has to be for 3. I can see why he thinks that, but it's different. If you do not cast Raise an Army, you lose the game.
Yes,
that's just like a fundamental thing you have to understand. The Victor math is too good. You have to play your version of the Test of Strength match, which is Raise. So the big thing to understand in this matchup is, 1, even the Victor decks that are playing D-Reacts are not playing very many. David and me had like a really long like laugh in the open deck list section in the quarterfinals
Yeah.
because I look at his deck list and it's one sink, one shelter, one fate, and I'm like, bro, you couldn't decide, like really?
No, maximum
he
mind
then
games,
like,
you know? They think you have 3. Yeah.
and before our game started, I like mapped it out and I looked at it and I was like, okay, he can play 3 Spinal or he can play 3 D-Reacts into me. He can't play both, and if he has none of those 3 D-Reacts, he cannot play D-Reacts.
Yep.
It's just quick dodge.
Yep.
And as soon as I hear that, it's kind of music to my ears. We get to turn 0, he blocks a Spinal, and I go, oh, there's no D-Reacts in his deck.
Yep.
Which is something I don't think I recognized in our first game in the Swiss because, well, I just hadn't seen his deck list. But, so Jason and me sit down, we look at each other. We should probably pause this for a second to explain what I'm doing in these turns.
Yeah.
So Jason and me sit down, and he looks at my deck list, and he's like, he really thinking. He gets some Oracle text. He asks me for text on some like random cards like that just have weird blood. Like they all have blood in their name. They're kind of easy to mix up.
Yeah.
And Jason says something about gravekeeping, and then we sit down for our game, and Jason's like shuffling real hard, and he's really thinking about it. And he picks his cards, puts them together, and then I present my deck, and then Jason goes, I'm like, oh, how many cards are you on? And he's like, oh, I think it's like 65, and I'm like, okay. And I'm playing 62. And Jason hears I'm playing 62. And he looks at me, and he looks at me really funny. He presumes I'm going to fatigue him, because I got 3 Gravekeeping in my deck, and I know he's on triple Remembrance.
Right.
Mentally, I'm just like, he's playing Victor. I'm not, like regular Victor. I'm not allowed to play Gravekeeping into him. I'm meant to play the smallest amount of cards possible. And just kill him. And you see him... Yeah. You see him on this turn put the Visit on the bottom.
Yep.
He's doing that because he thinks the Gravekeepings are still in my deck.
Yep. And it's only
Which
turn
is very,
2, turn 3, so he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, and this is why I like to say, I might have played 77 cards for this actual event, but the 3 cards I chose not to play in this event, but were still in my deck box, basically won me this game because of the fact that he pitches all his Visits super early.
Yep.
The fact I got that like information bonus was like pretty huge here.
And let's just talk a little bit about more the macro strategy. So the fact that Victor is pitching all the Visits into the deck means that his value
damage
engine
is not that
and
good.
Damage output is not that good. He doesn't have the defensive tools like Sync Fate Shelter to deal with your offensive onslaught. You are going to get to that point where you can raise an army for 4 and lock him out of the game. Before we even get to second cycle, and there you see this second Visit, and he's going to sink it as well.
To the bottom. Yeah, which makes sense from his macro perspective, and it's like, it's very hard, because I could have very easily just bought in the Gravekeepings and made the game really complicated and hard for him to play. But internally, I already knew, I was like, I'm not boarding up for this matchup, I'm just going to kill him. Like, the other key thing to, like, understand is it's surprisingly easy to force out quick dodge flexes.
Yeah.
If you're a good Kassai player, you just do it on a Blade Flurry, and your opponent goes, oh, I block now. And it's like, yeah, you block now, but there's no D-Reacts left in your 80 cards now, so I don't have to worry about it. So you see this game, Cody Williams had a really funny way of analyzing it that I really enjoyed. He's like, the Kassai, he was sitting down, and he was just losing the game. And then he just decided one turn to stop losing the game. And I'm like, well, there's a little more to it, but yeah, basically.
Decided to play your reds instead of blocking with your reds, something like that, right?
Yeah. The thing is, I have to get... Yeah, we talked before about how impactful it is to have rolling Kassai activations. When you have rolling Kassai activations into Victor, because they don't have very many defensive tools, you just burn them out of ways for them to stop the gold. And you only need to make 2 gold in this game, because you make 1 off Riches, you get 1 off Crown and Dominion, and then you go from there. And then if you have activations left over after you raise, you just win the game on the spot, because they can't block the Sabers and kill the Sellswords at the same time. It's just not a thing they can do. So you see me blocking a lot in the early game, just because I'm trying to filter to get reds and yellows into there. And you see me pitching reds, which like is empirically bad, because you should be pitching blues, because what if you hit and make a Vigor token? Except for Vigor, Victor plays really bad hands when it gets to keep the Test of Strength and Test of Iron Grips in its hand. So that always way. So it's better to just cycle the go again reds and the attack reactions and the damage sources back into your deck because the game will go to second cycle, even if you do a raise like I did in this game. That's just like a guaranteed fact, and you need to be putting pressure on them because that's when they can start visiting again, and that's how you lose the game.
Yep. So
The match always goes to second cycle. It's just like a thing that happens.
Yeah, a very, very important piece of this puzzle is when we get to second cycle, does Victor have enough health, enough runway to resolve all of the visits and send an attack? And if you're putting off enough pressure first cycle, probably going to be near 10 to 15 health, and then probably can't even pivot from there. So,
yeah. And you see this relate to my plays. It's like, I just have to get a D-React into Arsenal and force out the quick dodge. That's all I really want to do in this game. That's all I'm trying to do. This one's a weird one. I think I like actually end up blocking this. Maybe I just put the take it on shit on top of my deck. And the big motivation that I'm thinking of here is I'm about to play a big spoils turn. Let me just shove the armor, because I'm going to put take it on the chin in my arsenal anyway. I'm not going to get CNC'd. And just force out the quick dodge flexes, because then I just don't have to think about it. And my line is also test Vion Grape proof, because I can just put the take it on the chin into the bin.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, is that the earlier you can force the quick dodge flexors, the better it is for you. Just in general for every single warrior. Getting rid of the armor just enables so many plays. This is going to be a pretty good example of it.
You just cycle, like, attack reacts into your arsenal. Like, we talked about the fact I'm only on Jagged Edge and Blade Flurry. Like, yeah, I'm only on those cards, but like that's 5 cards that I put into arsenal, and they have a slightly above rate turn, and I get to connect.
Yep. Did you not have another yellow here to activate Kassai? Or
I really wish I did, but I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have the.
I was kind of annoyed here. Yeah.
Yeah, because you resolved one yellow draw swords, but didn't have a buddy.
Yeah, it was. I really wish I could here, because this is like kind of the ideal time to.
Yep.
But this did like a separate thing. I think this is the one Jason Fruel is armor at.
Yep.
Which is kind of ideal. This is the one that I wanted.
Yeah. Spoils of War from the opponent's side is pretty scary, because normally you don't have on hits, but like, you know, that is a important on hit. Looks like it's gonna block for 9 with an attack action. Or multiple attack actions.
Yeah, Jason blocks like this, and I was like, oh, he messed up. And then he like, oh, still thinking. I'm like, oh, never mind. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, probably. Maybe, probably the arms,
Yeah, and he does the block 10 like that. And I think his last card is Remembrance or the blue. And I can't remember if he ends up taking this or not. Either outcome is like pretty favorable for me. Preferably, I'd really have liked it if during this turn he like I had a gold activation, and I also would have preferred it if he blocked to a test of Iron Grip. Both of those would have been great for me.
Yep, I hear you.
And it does the thing. He just does the thing.
Yep. So seeing the Remembrance, does this change any of your macro strategies here? Like,
he's always gonna.
Like you already kind of knew, because he started pitching his Goldmane Estates.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're always going to board in at least one. I didn't have confirmation at the second or third yet, but boy was I hoping they were there.
Yep.
Because I already knew I was on 2 gold, and I'm pretty sure there's a point in this game where I just look deadpan at the camera and smile. Because I'm just like, I just like already knew. I was like, oh, I'm already like pretty ahead to win this game. Like, and we've barely even started. Like, I haven't even gotten my richest gold yet. I haven't seen either of my raises in the first few turns, which is how I lost the Swiss games to Victor's. I just drew both raises in the first hand and just like had to put them both on the bottom and didn't get back to them in time.
Yeah. In the previous game, we talked about, navigating to a favorable board state. Right now, the Victor having just the Arm Aegis plus 1 block on tech plating, this looks like a very, very favorable situation right now. Even though you're down 7 life, you're definitely ahead right here.
Yeah, the spoils is pretty good here. It's like, it's nice to have like a mid-rangey follow-up play. I think this is another turn where I do something really weird.
Okay. Let's see if we can
my last card's Jagged. My last card is Jagged Edge.
Right.
Which is like the key piece of information in this puzzle. I I'm looking at that Jagged Edge and I'm praying it doesn't get Test of Iron Grip, because it means I've essentially made my third gold by putting it into Arsenal. And you just see me attack for 2 here. He like thinks about it. I think he ends up giving me a card. I think that was potentially incorrect here, and he should have given me the shield, but I don't know Victor well enough to tell you that.
Yep.
Yeah, because he just swings hammer back.
If it's open deckless, he will know that you're not on in the swing. So yeah, I think arm Aegis block there would be good. So you're thinking about playing to take it on the chin for yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I just I really would have liked to save it for the end game. Take it on the chin in the end game when you have Cell Swords out is like kind of the most disgusting card in the game. But like here I was just kind of like, is what it is. Kind of just gotta let it go at this stage. I don't remember how I navigate this hand, but I'm pretty sure I just try to get yellows into bin because I only got 1.
Yeah, double sharpen senses, fate for seeing, and a blue, I believe, is your turn or your hand.
Yeah.
So just going to block out a little bit. And, I mean, you could just use the hit and run for the go again if you really want to, or just play it out like this.
I think I end up deciding to be a little bit more aggressive just because I'm already got the 2 gold before Richesing. And I also had
the attack react.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get the second... I'm going to get the last gold. I need the 3rd one either way, which is sort of the 4th one because of Riches.
Right.
So here I just decide to make him block in an awkward way by swinging for 3 like this and making him look at it.
Trounce versus Raisin Army on the Test of Iron Grip.
Yeah, I will say this game was like a little bit easier because of the fact that like his clashes were not good. The good thing is like I was already kind of playing around good clash tools the whole game. Like I think most of my hands, if I got Iron Grip, they just didn't do anything. And the good thing is, even when he swings aggressively, my life total is like not that impactful. So it's kind of like, yeah, I got lucky, but like also at the same time, it's like not really the most impactful thing in the game. The raise going to the bottom. The raise doesn't go to the bottom there; it stays on top. But it being there was really nice because it meant the next copy I saw, the other copy, I could put on the bottom. And I think that's a really important part of the strategy that people don't talk about enough. If you raise X equals 1, you need to play the second one.
Yep.
Like, it's almost not, like, ever enough damage to actually close out the game.
Yep.
And if you get to the endgame state, sometimes they just get enough chips through that they can actually deal with you. This one is also a really funny turn because he plays CNC and I just decide to take it.
Yep. Pitch it 2 reds for CNC. You're like, well, if you want to play your 3-card 6, I'm happy to lose my arsenal.
I'm looking at my hand, and I'm looking at his bin, and I'm like, oh, the Iron Grips are gone. Oh, I don't care.
And he's like, yep.
Yeah, I was like, statistically, I think he might have 1 left, but I was like, statistically, he's not going to see it here, so I just don't care. And I just end up deciding to like get the raise into Arsenal under any circumstance.
Yep.
And when Fate is the card in your Arsenal, you're just like, whatever. Like, it is what it is. The hand is like kind of mid as well. It's like Red Blade Runner, Slice and Dice, take it on the chin. So I'm like pretty happy to pitch both those cards to stack with the blue that I just pitched as well.
Yep. All right. Looks
Stacking with Kassai is like an ice cream sandwich. It's just putting reds and blues together. That's really all it is.
Yep. All right, gonna make your agility token, take 3, lose the fate for scene, and just gonna execute a nice simple turn. Gonna move the Raisin Army into your arsenal. Now you mentioned like 3 versus 4 gold gonna be a big difference. Are you really gonna wait for 4, or is it like if the hands line up, you're just gonna rip 3?
This game I wait for 4, but then I break my rule a little bit because I raise for 3, but I crack a gold on the turn. Which is like
which is like 6 damage.
Different than it's down. Yeah. It's like the math on it is very comparable. But the reason I think I specifically did it is because the hand wasn't strong enough unless I cracked the gold to get enough initial damage to close out the game.
Right.
I'm kind of guilty of like breaking that heuristic quite a lot actually. Just doing that exact play of cracking a gold and then raising for 3. But whenever I do that, it's because I'm also making a gold that turn.
Yep.
So it's like
it evens out. Yeah. It allows you to
Yeah.
continue pressure on the next turn, pretty much guaranteed, because you have a gold sitting around.
Yeah, it leads to additional
Yeah.
variance that becomes positive, is the way I think I always
All right, so
like try to think of.
Trounce. Oh, revealed two
Yeah.
two fails there. That's not good.
And that's the thing, it's like
Yeah.
the other thing we have to consider is like the Victor deck is full of misses when it boards like this for
Yep.
fatigue. You know,
Yep.
you gotta play the pummels, you gotta play the visits, you gotta play the trances, you gotta play the test of strengths, you gotta play the test of iron grip.
That's 15.
You gotta play D-reacts if you're on that.
That's
It's like,
yeah.
oh, like I
Yeah.
think Jason was on 65 as well, which like dilutes the ratios a little bit. He might have been on 60, but if he was on 60, it's like 1/4 of his deck is misses.
Yeah, there's
And he's always taking out more attack actions than he's putting in, especially the way he's playing it. Like the late game misses, I'm pretty sure were just a result of the fact that he bottomed all his visits.
Yep. And he's stuck with a Trounce in hand, knowing that there's a pummel on the top of the deck. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
it feels kind of rough. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the Victor giveth, the Victor take away. Really,
Yeah.
like.
And
The ugly thing is also that this hand just doesn't convert well for my opponent because of the fact that I'm doing very mid-turn. Like, in my head, this is broken. This is like the best thing ever. I'm resetting Dynamos, I'm putting 2 reds on the bottom of my deck, and I'm arseling Rays, and I'm probably drawing Riches next turn. Like, this is the best.
Yeah, from your opponent's perspective, like they kind of know that the next 2, 3, 4 turns is just going to be clearing dudes. So it's not a good position to be in as the victor. Just gonna pitch a couple cards, hammer, and
he also accidentally showed me the E-strike he puts in Arsenal, like I think this turn or the previous turn, and I was like, I chose to go off anyway, but it definitely made me really like pause for a second. The other thing that's really notable this game is I didn't see a single Blood Follows Blade until the end, until after I raised. And that's kind of the best time to see them.
Yeah.
Because that's when their blocking savers the least.
Yep.
This turn you like see me going off, and I just decide not to because it's just like a little bit. Or maybe this is the turn I go off. I don't remember exactly, but it depends. Does my jacket come off or does it stay on?
I guess we're gonna find out very soon. That's the multiple levels. All right, Kassai activation.
I've received a surprising amount of support for the sleeveless.
Yeah. I thought that was good as well. You know. You know.
Yeah,
I have like 4 versions of Fang. If I have 0 fealty, I have the original one, and then Rainbow Foil for 1, Cold Foil, then Marvel. So if you, it's like pre dudes Kassai, you have the jacket on. Post dudes Kassai, you know, guns out.
The real thing is, like, I literally just brought my bag that has my decks, 3 pairs of underwear, and 3 undershirts with me.
Pack light, you know. I agree with it.
No sleeves makes it so much like more compact to pack. Yes. That's like the actual reason.
Yeah.
And also, it's like 40 degrees there, but back in Melbourne, it's like freezing at the moment.
Yep.
So having like the flexibility is like very, very nice.
Yep. Yeah, the convention halls can either be like really, really cold, really, really hot. You never really know what you're getting.
Yeah. This turn I remember exactly now what I was doing. So he's in a really ugly spot because all those power cards are on the bottom of his deck. I'm already at 3 gold. I've still got plenty of life. I'm resetting Dynamos again. He's out of iron grips. I understand that if I just keep playing 4-card hands that take his whole hand by activate. There we go. And I just keep threatening. He's just going to keep giving me all 4 cards until he can't, like on this turn, when he has riches in hand.
Yep.
And then I'm just either going to get the 4th gold or potentially the 5th gold and then get to go off in a better state. Or he's going to make a mistake. Those are like the only 2 outcomes here.
So he's really trying to deny go again on this hot streak. But you have the answers.
Blade Runner.
Yep.
I do like saving a draw swords for the end game. It's like, it's one of those nice to have. Well. It just lets you play like a 2-card hand off hot streak that like always works.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing to point out is that Jason, by blocking with so many cards first cycle, you have a very, very good idea of the exact threats like Pummel, like Test of Iron Grip, stuff like that. Once you don't
Yeah.
have to play around certain cards, like playing the whole two card turn
Yeah.
cycle becomes much easier.
I've been told that I'm like somewhat frustrating to play against because sometimes I know my opponent's stack better than themselves. I'm like sometimes I know my opponent's stack better than my own. Like I'm looking at like my hands here, and I'm like, I know that I've got a lot of good cards left. I don't remember the order that well.
Yep.
But I know
you
that
put
he
draw
has
swords next to a blue, good enough.
Yeah, I'm like, that's probably fine. Like,
Yeah.
whereas like Jason's deck specifically, I remember that like not only is the damage there, it's split up in a really how do you say it? Like it's a really like equalized spread of damage
It's
across
not
the
like
deck. Like
it's
I
not
know
like
he
a
has
spiky turns.
yeah, it's like visit, and then like a gold. It's like visit, and then a golden sun, and then like something, and then like a golden sun, and there's like some amount of there's like a trounce and something else left in his deck as well. And I'm like conscious of all of those things still being there. So I understand that like if I just take him to the end game, he's gonna have a harder time pivoting because of the delayed nature of visit than he would otherwise.
Yep.
And this is when he puts the E-Strike in bin, which I know about, and I like really consciously thought about like waiting on raise here for like one more turn.
Yep.
And I think I end up actually deciding to. This is the turn that I just give my armor plus like a slice and dice red because it's just like this is also his last CNC.
Yep.
I block with the slice and dice, and for some reason I thought that was my second yellow. I'm pretty sure I go to activate next turn, and then I just go, oh no. The nice thing about Kassai is you don't have to think about your activations. You can declare it and then realize, oh no, I messed up.
Oh no,
I'm take it back.
Yep. I will attempt to activate Kassai. Oh no. Never mind. I will not attempt to activate Kassai.
It's almost definitely a little tilting for your opponents to play against, but also at the same time, it's just like one less thing you mentally have to think about. Like, and if you're thinking about activating Kassai, your turn's pretty good anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so from Jason's point of view, you activating a gold means it is go time. This is the turn.
And from my point of view, I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, shouldn't have cracked that. And then I look at my hand and then I go, oh shit, I can't activate. That's annoying. And then I go, oh, it's fine. I'll draw the riches next turn. It's okay. Like, so I end up just
a bunch of dudes.
Do a big damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just put the tokens on the board so that he's incentivized to keep cards here, because the damage on this turn is like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 5. It's like I'm swinging for 14, and he's got to keep 3 cards if he wants to use the E-Strike plus the hammer to kill 2.
Gonna be a ton of damage.
And the raise ends up being the second yellow, which is the real reason to do this. Because getting that activation here means that like I can chain, and also I still haven't seen my second raise. So I know it's coming up. I know it's like that, and I know if I just make 1 gold here, I make 1 off the riches the next turn. Like that's 2. I've still got the Bloodfaller's Blades. Like he's just going to be behind for the rest of the game as long as I take tempo here.
Yep. Yeah, we're at
it's
turn
weird. It's
8, so you got about half the deck left.
Yeah, it's like the E-Strike is like the E-Strike hammer line is like somewhat like the most beneficial thing that can happen for me here.
Yep.
I've actually like thought about it a couple of times. I was thinking maybe it's better for him here if he actually just swings the hammer, blocks an additional card, holds the E-Strike for the next turn where I maybe can't convert the Sellsword. It's definitely close, but I thought it was very interesting to think about.
Yep. Yeah, there's... I think just from the Guardians' perspective, they're like, oh, there's a board state. They have like PTSD from Enigma and Prism. They're like, nah, I gotta get rid of everything. If I see it on the board, it's gotta go. So yeah, gonna keep the E-Strike and Hammer line to get rid of 2 dudes.
This is maybe like a small thing, but like I did kind of note it mentally. Getting the copy here means that the last copy of Blood on Our Hands in my deck is like live, like as a go against boss in the end game.
Yeah, one single copper can make or break a turn, so definitely very, very annoying.
He's going to 20 here and losing all tempo, which is a very good thing for me.
Yep. There's riches. And
that's the riches. I knew it was
and Bloodfall's Blade, so we're gonna be back up to 2 dudes.
Yeah.
Gonna be pretty
And that's kind of the nice thing here. It's Because it's a go again source as well, and because it's like they are literally never ever gonna do the thing here of like blocking the saber on the first chain link for hot streak. Like it's just kind of like a thing of, oh, this is just always going to be nice to have in this circumstance.
Yep. Activating the copper is a pretty cool play, and now you have the option select in terms of attack reactions. Is like you block. This is partly why getting rid of the boots, the quick dodge flexors so quickly is really, really helpful. Because now you have the damned if you do, damned if you don't situation of Blood Falls Blade plus Glint.
Yeah, the fork is always like... I just always like draw these cards together and I go, oh, the fork. Like, it's just like opening the kitchen drawer. Like, I don't know, like... Every time you like see these two cards together in your hand, it's like... Theoretically, it should suck, because you got a blue and a yellow in your hand. But then, like...
I know, it's so good.
It just always... It always works, because if they don't block the first one, you win. And if they do block the first one, you win. So it just doesn't matter.
The only good block is throwing a Battle-Worn 2 block in front of it. But, like, you gotta have the soul read of soul reads to do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's very frustrating when they do that. But a lot of the time they do that, and then you have Red Blade Runner, and then they feel really silly.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. And this is also why playing so aggressively in the first cycle is very, very important, because you've navigated to a game state where he cannot just give you 2 armor. So this fork is, like, really, really strong.
Yeah, I think... The deck, there's a little bit of variance with the deck positioning, and like where the razors are, where the blood follows blades are. Not really the attack reacts, they can kind of be anywhere in your deck and they like fine because they're amazing late game and they're just broken first cycle. But like, the way that things lined up in this game, I will say is good. Like, I definitely won, I didn't win clashes, but I stayed neutral on them, which is like pretty impressive. Maybe that's a consequence of boarding, maybe not, who knows. But I also think that it's like very, very interesting that these tools can come in at different times and how they impact the game state and how you navigate that and how you respond to the draw sequence of the deck. And you're like consciously thinking like, oh, is the riches going to be in like this hand? Is it going to be in the next hand? Where's the raise? Where's the second raise? How many reds are left in my deck? Like, these are all conscious things I'm like thinking about quite actively. And you see that in the early turns pitching all those reds. But in the late turns like this, it's like, oh, I basically know my whole stack, and we're not even done with first cycle.
Blood Falls Blade, making an extra dude. Pretty good.
Yeah. And I think Jason thinks because he has a Ripple Away in his hand.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It does not work. It's like, the fact it doesn't work is kind of filthy. Like,
yep.
I'm pretty happy here because I get to Brave Forge as well as swinging both sabers, both guys.
Yep. And now, unless Jason has extenders in hand, it's going to be very difficult to clear these 2 guys. And he doesn't have enough runway to execute the second cycle game plan with Goldmane Estates. So this game state looks rock solid here.
You also see me like think about like Kassaiing there if I could. And the big reason I did that is because if I Kassai there, he has to give me Orin Aegis plus a 3-block attack action if he does. Which means he then has literally 1 gold, and then he has 3 visits and a remembrance, and it's like so easy to disrupt with the provokes from that stage. This is where I think the majority of people would make a mistake. Consciously, I'm aware of the fact that he's like swinging 10 overpower here. He's got 2 floating. I think I make it. I asked the judge here. I was like, "Oh, can I look at his deck list during the game?" And the judge is like, "No, of course not." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty reasonable." But I'm like conscious because I've seen 2 pummels already, and I was like, I couldn't remember if he was on 3 or 2. But here I just like look at it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put Unsheathed in Arsenal. I'm still gonna have 2 guys, and then I'm gonna block 14 on this, not even using my dynamos. Like, he's just gonna get maximum punish for overextending here. I think it's very easy when you're ahead to just like forget about the fact that your opponent's deck is good too.
Yeah, 14 against 14. This is a key moment there, stuffing that out.
Yeah, and I think that's like a really good example of like why you kind of have to just keep respecting your opponent. And then he draws the Test of Iron Grip here, which is just like...
Yep.
Sometimes you give Victor full tempo and he's just like, why am I doing this? Like...
Yep.
It's always like a nice thing to kind of have happen.
And if he doesn't draw the exact correct cards, cannot clear the dude. So now he just has to send it face, and has no floating, one card in hand, and you still have Dynamos. So, I mean, this is just you could give him 2 cards, swing back with the Unsheathed. Gonna be
now we're just playing math, except for the math is already 10 points in my favor, like and Dynamos.
Yep, Dynamos plus the dudes. Just a full checkmate here.
The other thing we noticed is like his deck has a lot of 2 blocks and no blocks built into the resource base, even so more than like regular Victor. So it's a little bit weaker in the end game than like some decks. Like it has Rouse and Rouse Ripple Away triggering on the Saber, and then like no Terra Sunder.
Yep.
So you're like, oh, like if it gets to like the really late game, there was some consideration that we played the Gravekeepings and tried to fatigue. It was definitely a thing I thought about because I thought his deck was weaker to it, but it's just a thing of this game plan is just so consistent, and like we spend time developing this macro. It seems like a waste not to try and use the thing that we know consistently works over the course of the tournament.
Yep. So blocking out the Spinal Crush. Warriors are very, very, very content to block out these single attacks from Guardians and just play this 2-card style.
Yeah, it's definitely like... Yeah, and also, because we're in this endgame state, I can just activate Kassai every turn now.
Yep.
And I still haven't seen this extra raise, by the way. I'm kind of thrilled. This is like... I don't want to draw this raise. I do not want to see it. Like, I'm very happy for this card to not appear in my deck. You see me crack the gold here just because I'm like, I'm ahead. I just should be pushing damage anyway.
Yep. Is this one of those situations where you're going to go for a Bloodfall's Blade on the hot streak on the second attack?
So I thought about it really heavily, and I was like, I can just convert the resources here and keep damage and a go again source in my deck. It's just better to play around the Iron Grip here. Like, my hand is Outland Skirmish, Bloodfaller's Blade here. Yep. I'm pretty sure my plan for this turn was... I don't remember how I ended up playing it after seeing blocking cards, but I went like 5-3-3-2 would be my initial inclination of how I play this, and just Arsenal the Bloodfaller's Blade. And then you're also holding the Outland Skirmish for the end game, which... Yep. One of the best end games with Hot Streak when your opponent has mostly attack actions in the deck. Yep.
Yeah, being able to push that to 5 basically makes it impossible. Unless they draw 2 block cards like this.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I kind of like looked at it and I was like kind of relieved because I remembered a lot of the cards he put on the bottom. And I was like, those actions.
There's the
I think you see me asking here. Yeah, I think you see me ask him here. I'm like, oh, do you want to grip first or do you want to trans first? And he goes, I want to grip first. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he shows like the visit, and I'm like, oh, okay, man. And he ends up like reclashing with his last gold, with the Aura Magus, which was annoying, but because I had the Outland Skirmish and could just hold it, it was like perfectly fine. I was completely okay with that. And that's the raise that I wanted.
Yeah, there you go. And it didn't get bottomed because it was the second card. It's very nice. And you have the Bloodfall's Blade to combine with it. Seems really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And here I'm just like, oh, he's got like trans tokens, but what's he gonna do with them? Like, if he sends them at my face, it doesn't matter. I'm on 17. If he doesn't, he just he just wastes the value.
Yeah. It's okay, gonna pitch into swinging more dudes. Seems completely reasonable. Gonna get to reset dynamos and all that good stuff. And yeah, I mean, if he wants to use his trounce tokens, gonna have to take some damage because he's already deployed a bunch of cards on defense.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, I just feel very in the driver's seat. It's like I'm gonna keep a Soul token regardless for next turn. He's gonna kill one. Basically, time walk at that point. I probably use that saying too much, but I really enjoy the saying, like, basically time walk.
Yeah, I know.
Good description of how Ally.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't block the last one, because he doesn't have the card, it's like I get the gold as well, and then I'm just like completely positive. And I think I stack my riches with the raise here, so that I know I have at least 3 gold when I go back to the end game, just in case. But also, I knew the reds I pitched earlier in the game were coming up, so I didn't even think it would really get that far.
Yep. All right, so we got...
here we see me make one of the most egregious misplays I think I made all tournament.
Ooh, okay. So you got Raise, High Current Currency, Blade Flurry, Trot Along, and... Okay.
Pretty sure I punted lethal on this turn. You're about to see why.
All right, let's take a look here and see if we can deduce what's going on.
I do a bit of thunking about this hand, and I got really kind of caught up in my own head. And I was maybe playing a little bit too fast because I was just trying to be conscious at the time. And I go Trot Along, Crack a Gold, which is just like the wrong sequence in every universe.
Yeah,
I don't know why I did that. Like, I'm really bad at like re-examining my lines when I'm going to pivot. I drew the Spoils of War, and I'm like, wait, hang on, I just completely punted that. I could have just gone Spoils, Raise, X equals 2 after Blade Flurrying the first chain link.
Yeah.
Swing, 4 on the end, 5 if I pump it. And I'm just like, it's just such a punt.
Yep.
And I'm like a little bit embarrassed that that's on camera, honestly.
Yeah, always draw your card first and then reevaluate.
Yeah, it was definitely like... I think I could have doubled down here and played the Spoils of War as well.
Yeah.
I think I like the line of pitching the Raise here, because I knew I just pitched the Riches, or like a couple turns before, so I knew it would line up that I would draw the Riches first again.
Yep.
But in hindsight, yeah, I think I made this game significantly harder than it had to be, honestly.
It's okay. He's down to 4, and you got full tempo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was definitely like... I've definitely like watched that moment back a couple of times. I've been like, that was not the cleanest play I've ever done in my life.
It's all right. We all make mistakes as long as we recognize the mistakes and learn. And he has 2 visits in hand.
2 visits in hand, yeah.
Oh boy, at 4 life. Oh no.
Yeah. And then the commentators thought I cheated by accident because I activated Brave Forge. And I was like, well, no, I Blade Flurried the first chain link I hit. So.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Also, it's tough. It's tough commentating. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, especially because most commentators don't play Warrior. So
yeah, true.
But yeah, Brave Forge Racers does need to hit, but you did hit. Okay, so I mean, this is pretty much just a formality.
I think the game's pretty closed out at this point. I don't think we're learning too much at this stage.
Yeah. I mean, we might see a nice provoke here to push through some damage.
Yeah, it's also just like when you just get to these scenarios where your opponent has like such little cards left in deck because you've raised on them. When you just throw the provoke, it's just like very irritating for them.
Yep.
And Jason discards the Remembrance too, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that was the only copy.
Yeah,
in his
he only
deck.
has one. Yep, only one copy.
And I was like, if that's his cycle, he used visit, the last, nearly all of the last Clash cards. I know there's a Trounce left in his deck.
Yep.
That means that his next hand is full of Rouse the Ancients, so there's a very good chance he does just die the next turn.
Yep.
Drawing a Fate Force in here isn't great. I try to typically get rid of them first cycle, but sometimes they just kind of hang around in an awkward place.
Yeah, especially considering all the pummels should be gone. You know, this is just a red bauble at this point, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where like it happens a lot less with this build because there's only 7 D-Reacts in the deck. When there's 9, this problem occurs a lot more frequently, and it becomes actually game losing.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting point. That like because in Flesh and Blood you see your whole deck fairly consistently, especially as like the mid-range hero that can flex between aggressive and defensive styles, and you don't shuffle your deck. You are basically guaranteed to see every card every game if you want to. So, you know, the ratios in a Kassai deck are really, really, really tight. And that means your sideboarding has to be very, very tight as well.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've talked to Shomer at events a lot about. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I think your approach is actually better than mine. Like, that's why I went down to 2 Raise, 2 Blood on our hands as well. And then Isaac was the one who convinced me down to 70 reacts, and I think it just made a lot of sense. Also, Sam Sutherland was the other person who probably made the big choice, because we talked about the Kassai Dio matchup quite a lot.
Yes, that's
and
pretty interesting.
I've always just approached it as straight fatigue.
Mm.
And I saw a lot of success doing that for a really long time. And then the builds kind of changed, and it re-evolved, and then the Dios were a little bit more expecting of it. And then Sam beat me in a ProQuest finals. That's on camera. It's in the video library in my guide somewhere. And then afterwards, me and Sam had like a bunch of conversations about it, and we realized that like I wasn't playing to the best part of Kassai in the matchup, which is the fact that you can flex into fatigue.
Yep.
And you can flex out of it, which is the thing that Dio actually struggles with.
Yep.
And we played a couple of games before this event, and I just realized like, oh, if you just have less D-reacts in your deck, it doesn't actually make that big of a difference in the fatigue math, because you're pressuring more damage when you need to.
Yep.
And then that logic then just kind of applied to every other matchup in the game as well, which was really rewarding to see, I think.
Yeah, a more streamlined deck that is, you know, very cognizant of, this is my game plan. I'm going to do my game plan well. I don't want too many clunkers in my deck. You know, that whole deck building philosophy, I think, is very, very solid, and something that, you know, we do need to be reminded of from time to time.
Yeah, I think like part of the best part of Flesh and Blood is the fact that you can flex your strategy depending on what's going on in the game.
Yep.
And I think we don't talk about the agency on the player to change their decisions as the turns happen.
Yep.
I think maybe that comes down a little bit to card game player mentality, where we're like, oh, this matchup's 100-0, like, which I'm 100% guilty of. Do not even tell me that. I'm so guilty of that. But also, I think it comes a little bit, and then it becomes a bit of a thing of like, oh, well, what actually happens if this happens, and what happens if this happens, and what happens if I do this? And I feel like Brody and Jacob are like two people who I see recognize that more than most people in the game. Because they're always like really curious, like, what happens if I change my playline here in response to the thing that just happened? And I think this matchup, but also just a lot of matchups with Kassai, let you think about those consequences in your game. And I think one of the good parts about Kassai is like a lot of it is face up, but like it lets you think more about the things that are not face up.
Yeah.
This is my favorite mode of hit and run here, where I get to use
an extra
card.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. And there's the Raise an Army, Bloodfall's Blade.
And I think this is the turn that the game ends.
Yeah.
It's just like there's nothing left in his deck that I have to worry about. I've got him on cards even if I don't have him on damage here. Like you see Jason counting, I think he has 7 cards left in deck, and I definitely have enough go against sources that even if we just go to hammer and forth, the game just ends.
Yep, fatigue by damage. Gonna close.
There's also D-React left in my deck, so he can't Macho Ground me, which is like something that came up quite a lot in my testing. So I'm just very comfortable here. I just like I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna make finals at least.
Yeah, which we'll
we had a conversation. Yeah, we had a conversation before this game started, and we were convinced that the Fatigue Life was going to beat Nova in semifinals. So me and Jason were joking. We were like both convinced that we had amazing matchups into that deck, and we were like, "Oh, we're just playing finals now." Like, and then one of us gets to beat up on the Life, and then the Life lost, and we were like, "What?"
I mean, Nova is a really good player. I mean, he won the Calling in Yokohama.
Never count that man out.
Yeah. Very, very strong player. A little side lore here. After Pro Tour Yokohama, I went to Hong Kong. And, you know, I went to the Blue Pitch practice house, and I took my, you know, Pro Tour combo Bolton deck, and they slapped me around like crazy. They had all the tech in their Victor decks. It turns out, you know, what's the flex card? Is it called Peck Perfect? Peck Perfect is pretty good against my deck. I was like,
that card's really annoying.
All right, so yeah, there we go. The dudes and the Saber close it out, and on to the finals. So yeah, I think, you know, the second half of that game was a little bit of a formality, but the piloting in the first half, getting to that, you know, favorable game state was really, really well executed there. And I think this matchup also showed a little bit of how comfortable you are against Victor, because that's a popular matchup. And on the other side, Victor was less comfortable against you as a Kassai player because Kassai is less popular.
Yeah, I feel like I got... It's becoming less so recently, but I feel like I got lots and lots and lots of equity when I first started playing the deck, because people just didn't know how to beat Kassai.
Yep.
But like the more I've played the deck, I feel like people know more, and like part of that is also the guide is like public. Like a lot of people have read it at this stage. Like people understand the things I'm doing. Like it does mean that I do have to keep changing and evolving my strategies, but it also makes it like, I don't know, it makes it still fun, and that's kind of like that's the dream.
Yeah, if you could play mid-range with your deck building, you know, adjusting your decks just like how you adjust the game, you know, that'll be good fun. All right, on to the finals.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting finals, but it really just displays how like good the Mario matchup is nowadays. Like, I think their deck changed a lot. My deck changed a lot. There's a lot of thunking involved on the Mario matchup, especially after RTN season where I just got smacked around.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have Compendium for RTN season, but we did for ProQuest season. I played 2 RTNs for Kassai, with Kassai. I played the first one, and I lost to Sam in the finals, which was the game I was talking about earlier. And then the second one I won. Like
both of you are lucky on turn 0. Taking on the
I was like,
he says he had the Orb Weaver.
The spinner out was frustrating, but not getting the mark turn 0 so they can't just like straight away take tempo is kind of backbreaking for them. And here you see me do something really weird here. You see me go like, I think the line I take here is spoils pitch blue, and then just swing Saber for 4.
Let's see what he does.
And then Nova does the really smart thing of respecting me here, I think, and just lays down 2 cards.
Plays around
so I just
flurry a little bit. Provoke.
I just provoke it. It's like I gotta filter the hand anyway, and it's like, oh, he's playing a 1-card hand. Like that doesn't do anything.
It's getting a little bit closer to Tunic, but you know, yeah, and he definitely can't flick a clave here. So getting you remarked is going to be quite difficult. And Blenton
so he spends a whole card here.
Sure.
I love Blenton's hidden mode of like don't do anything. It's just block 2. It's like it comes up way more than it probably should, but it's like when it's there, it's kind of nice. It's like crack bauble that goes into your bin. It's like, what more do you need?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can use the Kassai ability on it, so it works pretty well. All right, Inertia Trap going to be a little bit annoying because your attack has go again.
Lucky for me, my card in hand sucks. I'm pretty sure that it's just hit and run. Unfortunately for me, Nova blocks this whole hand, and I go, oh no. I was a little bit puzzled by that block. I thought it was very very, very defensive. Especially when there's like better things that my deck can do. We're about to see one of them, which is faking out Blood Follows Blade with Unsheathed. It's probably like... I love when Shoma says that like Unsheathed is felling of the crown. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. But my favorite thing is like when Unsheathed is Sharp and Steel.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to experience that, play Dorinthia, then you'll experience Unsheathed being Sharp and Steel.
The card has range. Like it's really like sometimes it's a draft coming from WTR. Sometimes it's the best card ever printed. Like
combining this with Bloodfall's Blade is so tricky. This is so tricky.
I got a little bit better at playing my Bloodfallow's Blades at some point as well. I feel like there was a point where I just hit a wall with them, and I was really just kind of like the deck didn't support it super well, so I was just kind of throwing them out and getting like Fateful Sealed or something. Whereas nowadays, I feel like I'm just doing them in much more annoying spots to block out.
And well,
like
Nova played very defensively for 3 turns. Now he's thinking.
Yeah, and here I'm like, oh. You can give me a frailty trap or something here. I don't care. Like I'm gonna do this regardless. I'm gonna put a yellow in my bin, and if you like give me more cards, then it's fine. You're just not progressing the game. Stay on your side.
Yeah. Even though you have like quote unquote double go again, this Bloodfall's Blade's still worth 3 offensive value, 2 defensive value, and Mario's one of the heroes that really struggles clearing. So we'll see how.
he had like pretty exceptional clears this game, but it was just kind of like you can have exceptional clears and it still be bad. It's like sometimes they stick around for like 3 turns before they find a way to clear them effectively.
Yep.
Sometimes they just like swing a dagger for 5 because it's just the only way to clear it. In which case it's like a 3 card just to kill a 2 card just to kill a sellsword plus like the use of their dagger that turn. Even when it just takes 2 cards like it does on this turn, it's just kind of filthy.
Yep. One thing I kind of want to talk about, just in general, like from Nova's point of view, is that even though Kassai and most warriors do not have offensive disruption, they do have defensive disruption. Like, you can't really plan your whole turn out because it's like, well, what happens if I run into Blunton? What happens if he jams his Kabuto here? So, you know, I think, you know, Kabuto plus Blunton, like, has really made this matchup way, way more difficult for very, very thinking players.
Yeah. Nova gets a bit lucky here and hits the Kiss of Death to kill the sellsword off the top. Which is about as clean as a clear as you can get in that deck. Notable interaction that I think some people don't realize is you like if they swing Chaliceray for 2 because you're marked and they swing at the sellsword, it actually comes in for 1, so it doesn't clear because they're not attacking a marked hero. I think that's a really big interaction some people don't miss.
Yeah, for sure.
This hand looks on the surface level kind of bad until you realize there's Red Blade Runner in Arsenal, and then it becomes like the best hand ever.
Yep. You got another fork here with the Blood Follows Blade plus with Blade Runner.
Yeah, I feel like the Blood Follows Blade like started. It really was like the last piece the deck needed. Like, I feel like for ages it was like, oh, you can just say no blocks against Kassai and you never got punished. Like there just was no consequence. Like against Ori at least, like you always had to think about what if they just like get a counter and then it spirals out of control and I like draw a bad blocking hand next turn and then they have 2 counters, like and then they play a glistening and they have 7 counters, like, and then in like Fang it's like, oh, what if they just get all their fealty and then I'm behind for the rest of the game. In Bolton it's like, oh, what if they instant speed Luminar and I lose the game, like. Whereas like with Kassai it was like, oh, they swing for 2 vanilla. I don't care.
How bad can it be?
But here we get to see how bad it really can be, and this is even with like Nova getting to clear. Like, I'm just waiting for 4 here. I was very scared of a Fateful Scene in this play, but I decided I need to go to the airport.
Yeah, I mean, you have an inertia token. You might as well do it.
Sometimes you gotta double check your EV. Like, you're like, oh.
2 dudes.
I gotta go to the airport.
Yep.
Probably good here.
Yeah, probably good. And at least you get to send one of the dudes there. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I've seen like a fairly even distribution of damage. I think I had a really interesting game against another Mario player. No, it was against a Syndra player in round 5 where I blocked with a lot of my reds early in the game. And the game went to like turn 20 because I just like couldn't close out the game.
Yeah, if you only have 5 attack reacts, it can be tough.
Yeah. The same thing can happen against Mario, I've noticed. Like, if you don't like keep like a raise or 2 in deck when you are playing the big stack, you can actually really struggle to close out the game and you can get fatigued. I've only had that happen once in a practice game. I've nearly come close to it a couple of times. I had it come very, very close to happening this game because I played 60 and he played like 67 with like E-strikes and Pursuit to the Edge of Oblivion and like a lot of really big attacks like Rabbles. It was really interesting to watch somebody capitalize on that weakness of the deck, but also I think you have to warp your deck building as the Mario a lot to get to that state. It was definitely really interesting to see. Here you get to see my favorite mode in this matchup, otherwise known as I don't care, I'm going to take 15 and I'm going to race you.
Yep. And this is, hey, your T-Talk's not going to do anything to me.
Yeah, and I just like play the take it on the chin here because it's like if he wants to flick for 1 value out of his clave, I'm pretty happy for him to do that. Like it's whatever, I don't care.
You also get unmarked, which is a nice little bonus here. And because he sent all the damage at your face, you're very content to just. Okay, I mean he's clearing 1 of the dudes. Oh, clearing 2 of the dudes. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like.
Oh, okay.
This is the best case scenario, and even the best case scenario kind of sucks. He just wasted like 8 damage essentially clearing those guys, and I got like what It's like I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's like I got like I spent 2 cards and a resource for 11 value, which is like kind of crazy still. And also action points and tempo. So
All right, so you're currently on 1 gold. Are you looking to get to 2 gold for a Raisin Army, or are you just going to use the gold for
because I played
dealing
60, my
tempo
raisins
turns?
aren't in my deck.
Ah, okay.
That's
Cool.
like I'm pretty sure they're not in my deck. There's a small chance one snuck in there.
Mhm.
Um,
So it's
a
just
lot
for
of the time
tempo.
I like Yeah, a lot of the time I flex my boarding based on how I think my opponent's going to respond. I'd
Right.
already played a game into Nova,
Mhm.
and I thought that it was unlikely our game was going to go into second cycle, because I
Right.
know Nova has a habit of playing very, like...
Mhm.
He'll do 15 damage, and then he'll block for 4 turns, and then he'll do 15 damage. And it's like... I've noticed that is kind of his style of playing the matchup. And when you have that information ahead of time, it gives you a little bit more agency with boarding. And also, I feel like, in reality, there's like 64 cards I'm happy to play in this matchup.
Yep.
Like, I don't think I brought the sink in this matchup when I was going second. When I was going second, just because I was like, one less D-react. It's like I'd rather draw a better offensive hand.
Yep. Keep the tempo that you're given. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have a pretty straightforward turn.
Yeah, you see me like eat a lot of inertia traps this game.
Yeah.
And they're like all 7 value. It's like pretty annoying. And like this turn is pretty mid. I'm like pitching away a whole card. Like I'm doing 2 card 7 here. 3 card 7, like make a Vigor token. Which like fundamentally sucks because I had tempo to start the game.
Yep, you didn't get
kind of fine
there, but yeah. All right, up sticks into Clave, and I think the thing that you talked about, you not having the mark as easily is going to be kind of key here.
Yeah.
Just denying the mark. Blunted obviously going to be very annoying.
Yeah, I've been told I'm annoying to play against because of the fact that I deny the mark much more aggressively than most people, but I don't do it in a way that's suboptimal. Like, I've seen a lot of people... If you watch Shoma's game in round 3 of the Pro Tour, he, like, blocks entire cards on like, Clay for 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think... I've always thought about that quite a lot, and I'm like, well... Like, even here, you see me, like, use a shelter for 3 value, essentially, but, like, it's kind of 4 value and go again, because I don't think people realize how important the going on the Clave is.
Yep.
But also, it's like not impactful enough that you can play suboptimally and try and generate value.
Oh, what a good draw!
Yeah, that was definitely a nice one.
Oh baby.
Yeah. I've watched this game back, and I feel like this is the moment I actually won the game, because Nova does what Nova does in this scenario and tries to block it out efficiently.
Yeah.
And then just gets, like, mega punished.
Yeah, spoils of war, especially for old school players, like the ones that had to deal with original Kassai and Blitz, and just, just in general, spoils of war is one of those cards that's like, okay, we don't let spoils of war hit. One of those golden rules. And yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, like, I played during that era, so I understand why people have that perspective.
Yeah.
But also, I remember, like, playing
You're pitching a blood on our hands is one of the important things here as well. It's like,
yeah, I've never seen my deck list.
Like,
yeah, he knows there's only one left in my deck, but I also know that we've been, like, through... This is turn 7, we're 28 cards, plus I've, like, opted and drawn a few, so I'm probably, like, 32 cards into a 60-card deck, like... Statistically, I know before the game ends, I'm going to see the second one. It ends up coming up sooner than I thought, which was, pretty great for me. But yeah, it's another one of those things where I feel like the deck aligns very well with my playstyle because I like thinking about the cards in my deck and my opponent's deck quite a lot.
Yep. You looked at the camera. Is it like, bro, no, play faster. I got to play the catch, bro. Come on.
that was a little bit of a part of it. I also just like... I don't know. I think it's a little bit cutesy to break the fourth wall and just be like,
yeah.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Y'all enjoying this? Like
at the Calling Memphis, where I got like dealt 60 something damage by an Acilio on turn 2, I was looking at the camera as well. And then the day after that, they released the big BNR. I was like, yeah, that's nice.
You get that, like, get a load of this guy. Like,
yeah.
Was this the really funny moment? I don't know why, but just like this child just walks into the feature match and walks right up to me. He's slightly on camera at one point. I was like, I just look at the judge and I go, whose child is this? I was like, what? I was so thrown off.
It's like
At the same time, I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, I enjoyed it immensely. Like,
oh, that's great. I love these like behind the scenes things. All right, so
like, you could tell I'm like, yeah, I'm playing this game pretty low stress, but like at the same time, I'm like, yeah, definitely still having fun with it.
Yeah. All right, so
LSS,
Nova
really
cedes all the tempo there, and
yeah,
you have 2 gold, 2 copper, and drew pretty.
Yeah, you
well.
See me make a very aggressive play here, of swinging 8 and then pitching the other card for 2 damage. And this goes back to a question of range.
Yep.
Which is something that I think Brian Gottlieb actually taught me a lot about with hunted draft format.
Yep.
And it's one of like these topics that I don't entirely agree with, but I think I can see where it's useful to think about. We're both attack reaction decks, and we're both like value decks.
Yep.
Nova's going to 10 after I swing this.
Yep.
The amount of hands I have that can convert, especially with the blood on the hands in my deck, that basically like converts to kill him.
Yep.
In this circumstance,
is
like significantly higher than is significantly higher than the proponent that deals 12. So it's a lot easier for me to start forcing cards here, which is when Mario's at its weakest, than it is on the next. Than if he was 2 life lower and I kept the Fateful Scene on the spoils.
Both Assassin and Warrior are quote unquote cut from the same cloth, but one of us defends much better than the other. Nova's deck full of 2 blocks, and yours definitely not. Leave no witnesses, hunting an empty arsenal, and so you have the blood on her hands. You have everything that you.
I've got the draw swords too.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Blue. It's like, who's this dude?
And I think I tanked on this decision a little bit because my hand sucks, other than the blood on her hands and like the draw swords. And then I ended up deciding that if I just take as many cards as possible on this turn and keep tempo, there is little to no way that I can lose the game.
Yep. And just hammering home the idea of what does a favorable game state look like? Well, it's when the marionette player is forced to block. They're on low amounts of cards. You can get a D-react into Arsenal, and they overextend. Like those type of situations are what we're looking for.
The Brave Forge braces in block in that circumstance also looks a little weird. It's like, because theoretically I should save it for a non-hit the next turn, except I'm going to 10 here.
Yep.
Or I'm going to 8 if I don't block with the Brave Forge. And I decided that his range is much better at killing me from 8, even with the 1 extra block, than it is previously.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was really worried about how I was going to represent this on camera, and then I found out Ethan has these little squares, which I kind of want to get to. Like,
you know what?
Pretty good.
I've had a theory on like how to represent this is make little tokens, because each of the modes is kind of like one of the warrior's abilities, right? So like attack twice could be like a Dory token that says attack twice. Or +1 could be like Bolton's. Go again could be, I don't know, Holla's or something like that. So
I always have a bit of a struggle. Like pretty much every judge I've ever asked has said I can just write it down on pieces of paper and then just remove them afterwards, and it's fine. It's like not note taking. I think this is probably the most elegant solution, especially if you need to blood on your hands multiple times in the game, like you do against Gravy.
Yep.
But I like it a lot.
So attack twice, and the other mode.
You see me make the same display, which is kind of awkward of me just like choosing modes before I keep cracking gold.
Yeah, we definitely should be drawing cards first.
Yeah, I definitely need to work on that a little bit.
But that's okay. You drew a Blade Flurry. That's.
I just wanted. I went like an extra 3 cards deep in my deck because I just have to convert into damage on this turn. Because I know as soon as. I was fairly certain Nova was just going to try and block me out here. It's like pretty in. Like it's what I was talking about with Pudding. Like if he blocks me out there, I just kind of lose the game. Whereas Nova, I know not only realizes that he can do that, like he can just wait until next turn when my hand doesn't convert as well potentially. But I also know that Nova is like leaning towards doing that throughout this game multiple times.
Yep.
I think there's also an argument that maybe I should have swung the one without go again first.
Mhm.
Like, I'm coming in for 4. If it's 6 there, Friend's lethal on the second one. Theoretically, there's less agency. I think there's a good argument to it. I think I agree with it. Last card in my hand is Glint here, which I'm just trying to game. I think also I should have... I didn't Vigor as early as I should have. I think that was just a case of me not playing slow enough, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah. Got a plan to catch. Can't be wasting our time with Vigor tokens.
So here's the thing. There is actually an argument here where, because of the fact that I'm swinging for 5 with this,
yep, it could be Jagged
got
Edge.
1 floating, and it's a go again card. There's a very good chance that this could be Bloodfellow's Blade if Nova's not thinking about it too hard and doesn't realize all 3 are in my bin.
Yep.
So that's like the corner case scenario where I think that like maybe it's correct. Nova makes the right call not to block this and decides it's Glint, which pretty good. In total, I think Nova managed to like use inertia traps plus like just playing around things to like make me essentially not draw 5 cards this game, which is kind of crazy.
Pretty good. All right, so
but now
gonna put him down to 1 if he wants to keep the whole hand. And looks like
it's like, well, he's already blocked a card, so...
Oh, yes.
And the thing is, on 10 with 6 armor, I'm like, oh, there's literally no way he can probably kill me from this range, unless he has... And this is like a big thing. The last 3 cards in his hand, I was a little bit worried were Justinic, Take Up a Mantle, and Persuasive Prognosis. Flicking the clip.
Yep.
And he starts with Persuasive Prognosis, and I go, oh shit. My team have been talking about this like pretty much non-stop since Nova won the calling, and I was just like really conscious of it in the scenario. And you see me just throw all 6 armor there with the Kabuto, and I'm like, that's the easy part done.
Yeah.
I think this is a misplay going back over it, because I think if I just block with the Unsheathed here, statistically I'm going to hit a red off the top anyway, so I just like never get a banish. I got yellow, yellow, blue in hand. And it just also adds some number of like gaming. In the moment, I thought 1, I got a plane to catch. 2, Unsheathed is like such a powerful card that if he takes a blue or a yellow instead, my rate of winning the game with him on 1, even if he gains some life, is like so high. I kind of forgot to aggregate for the fact that you can gain 3 life potentially off the Persuasive here with Justinic. I think in hindsight I should have just blocked with the Unsheathed because I think it's just a safer line and it means less life gain as well.
Yep.
I think potentially the game just ends here if I do that. It's definitely like a close decision.
Yeah, it is really close. I think, denying the Justinic, banishing an extra card, I think is very reasonable. He's at 1. I think it's fine.
The other line is like maybe I block with blue here, and then he just like can never connect for an efficient number, so it just doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's like let's say this is Nick, he flicks, he goes to 7, and then like his last card is probably just a 0 for 3 pump. Yeah, I think I meant to block with the blue, the sharpened senses here. I think there's no way he can conceivably hit here if I do that, and there's no way I can die from 10.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually the better line. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, we hit 3 actions here, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, because that's 3 health gain there. Ugh.
Yeah, there's actually like when I think back on it, there's a lot that goes wrong for me this game, and it still just ends up like being okay. It kind of just goes back to that idea of like Kassai is a deck where you manufacture game states.
Yep.
I think that's a very good way of phrasing it. I haven't really heard it put that way before, but I think it's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, it's that phrasing comes from playing Blitz a long time ago against Ira, because I played a lot of. I started my journey in Hong Kong, and I played against a lot of these guys. And I noticed that like, what do favorable game states look like against Ira as Dorinthia, and what do favorable game states look like on the other side? Because I started playing Ira, and then I moved to Dorinthia, and I noticed those patterns. I was like, okay, how do I get into those game states? And
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of the similarities here with Kassai. It's like, how do you get to a state where you're ahead on forward life, you're attacking into them, they have no armor, they've already used their helmet, you're not marked. There's a lot of like little things that, like,
Yeah.
James White has a quote that says like, Flesh and Blood is supposed to be an accumulation of good decisions.
Mm.
And that this is partly why I like Warriors so much. Is like it's there's a lot of depth here. Like, people often
Yeah.
joke about, oh, Herder, you're just playing Blade Runner Herder, but it's like, no. There's a lot more thought that goes into this than it looks like, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah. Here you see me like, I know I'm taking hand plus getting damage through here.
Yep.
The average block value of an Arachne's hand is like 10.
Yep. About 10. Yep.
So I know I'm pushing enough here to like put him to like 1 or 2 theoretically,
And
2 if he
reset
drew
Dynamos
well.
too. Yep.
Here's one of the moments where I kind of crapped my pants and started actually thinking about the game a little bit. I like crack gold, draw a card. I'm like, oh, draw swords.
Sweet.
Not really happy to see that right now,
Yep.
because my hand is like slice and dice, sharpen senses.
Yep.
I think the draw swords is yellow because I did consider trying to play around the frailty trap here.
Yep. So this is 5. Currently go again.
Yeah, I ended up deciding. So he'd already seen 2 of the Undertow trapdoors. He pitched 1 and plays 1 earlier. That's why the inertia trap is in the top right corner in Banish. And the frailty trap is already in his bin.
Yep.
And I'm like, statistically, I also don't know if he's pitched the other one. I like really couldn't remember. I think this game makes it look like I didn't think about this, but I definitely did. Which probably sounds like cope. But I'm just like, I tanked on it, and I was like, there's no way I try and like win a calling finals based on my opponent not drawing a 1 out of 20 here. Like, it's always statistically the correct choice to do this.
Yep.
He ended up having it, and I nearly lost the game because of it.
Yeah. So now you lose go again. This blocks out, so he basically used 1 card and his armor to block out, and now he gets to keep 3 cards plus an arsenal. Bit of a scary.
Yeah. The big thing is I take the flick knives. That's like that was like the really like.
Oh, and you drew a bunch of defensive cards, so you're fine here.
Yeah, without Tunic and Flick Knives, I'm like a lot less scared. The main card I was concerned about being in Arsenal was T-Tox here, or potentially Codex, because if he goes Stalker Steps Codex, I'm still in a pretty awkward spot.
Yep.
But I knew if I kept the Blade Flurry, then statistically, it's like I'm pretty much always going to win here.
Yep. So probably just Blunton and a card, maybe armor.
I think I end up deciding to give just the 2 armor, see what he does. If he goes for he has to go for the T-Tox in here because it kills me if I don't have a react.
Right.
And then just play 1 reaction if he doesn't have the T-Tox. Because then I can cast the Draw Swords from Arsenal by pitching the extra reaction with the Blunton, just to get the extra damage to make sure the Blade Flurry almost definitely kills.
So you block 2, he says no reactions, you resolve Fate Foreseen. So 7, or sorry, 6 on 9 right now. Taking 3, go to 5.
Yeah.
And now with the Blade Flurry, if he doesn't draw a D-React on the next turn, he is dead.
Yeah.
And,
and if he has to block an attack action as well, he does just die to the hot streak, giving go again with Blade Flurry. Oh, and I draw Glint anyway. I Fateful Seemed as well.
That's pretty good.
I like looked at it, I was like, oh,
perfect.
Yeah, that one's pretty good right now. Let me put that one on top.
Yep.
The nice thing is, like, because I kept the extra card, I came in for 5 here, which meant I didn't die to Fateful Seam from Arsenal. That was, like, a particular worry I had in my head.
And there you go. Blade Flurry wins the calling for you. Congratulations. All right. So, I mean, these were 3 very, very good games to learn in terms of, like, macro strategies and adjusting micro decisions based on the game state. There's a lot more depth to this game than it looks. This was a... I know the video is a little long, but this was a very, very fascinating to get to hear you talk about, the last 3 games there. Any final thoughts on the Mario game before we take a look at maybe what the future holds?
I think it just goes to show that there are decks that can prey on Mario's weaknesses, and that sometimes when you think you've explored every avenue of how to beat something, you just need to go back to the drawing board and get someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
That's really like the main lesson I think I took from it. Like I'd been bashing my head into that wall for like all of RTN season, and then like to have a couple new cards come out, and then someone else like say a few things to me that like just caught the brainworm in my head, just like completely changed the way I saw the matchup.
Yeah. Sometimes, having a different perspective from friends or teammates is all you need to reinvigorate yourself and all that. So good to hear. Good to hear. Good to hear. If you've made it all the way to this point in the video, congratulations. So you are a hardcore Kassai fan or a hardcore Warrior fan, or maybe you're Jake's mom or something that is trying to support everything that he does. So you sent me this list, and this is like what could be what.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about like what is changing. So we have 3 new heroes. We have, a set of expansion slot cards, and we also have a BNR. Now we have part 1 of the BNR. We still have, potentially part 2 of the BNR. So how does Kassai change? Where do you see the meta, and how does Kassai change?
So the big thing is Acilio goes, which is like maybe the biggest bonus that's ever happened to the deck.
Yes.
Like some people say Verdant Sleeting was like some people argue Verdant Sleeving was like the biggest thing for the deck. I think that matchup was fine. I think it was actually slightly good. But like I think like Acilio leaving is probably going to be incredibly impactful in ways people also aren't expecting. Like I think Mario goes down a bit. Mario also will continue to go down because of Omnis Ward Boots getting printed, so you have a bit less chance to hit that matchup. I'm a little bit worried that Teklevossen gets better, because that's like the real Doomer matchup for this deck.
Yes.
It's just like, I'll concede that like, I'll concede Teklevossen is bad, but Pallades is good, and specifically with this new list as well. Like, I think the Teklevossen matchup's just actually unwinnable at this stage. I really don't understand what they're doing with that hero, where they just decide that he's allowed to play coin flips.
Yeah, I released a video yesterday about the Anvilheim Shield, and some people were like, bro, what are you talking about? Teklevoss not that bad for Warrior. I'm like, that is an opinion that you could have. That is not my experience playing every single Warrior in the game.
I'm like, I used to be of the opinion that it was like pretty bad, but it was winnable. But like, I had a very just round 9 of calling Yokohama. I just had a very, very irritating game, and I was just like, no, okay, this matchup's not winnable.
It is not winnable with any of the Warriors.
Yeah.
All right.
I think there's a chance with this list. Funnily enough, I'm about to contradict myself. I think there's actually a chance with this list because of the triple sigil and all the defensive tools. I think if you go hard fatigue, there's a chance you can beat them, but it's real low because they just play every armor piece in their deck and then go off.
Yeah, if they have like 22 armor pieces, that basically translates into 20 deck damage, which like very hard for you to have 20 cards left when they have when singularity for like 22. But maybe.
I actually think they should ban cards from that deck, because I think not because of power level reasons, because of play experience, and also the reduction of skill inventory in the game. Because it's not like the deck's hard to play. Like, you just play the equipment.
I played
it's like how people say,
in the 0 to 60 series, and I found it really hard, but I'm not very good at this game, so.
Yeah, like people also say that about Kassai. People say, "Oh, you just swing at the sword," and yeah, fair. All right, I deserve that. But like, I actually think that deck has like play experience issues across the board, where like it just has such polarizing matchups into the entire game.
Yeah, it has some of the most polarizing matchups in the whole game, which is like very reminiscent of old school Illusionists. Illusionists used to have super polarizing matchups, like they beat up Oldhim and then lose to Phi, and it's like, okay, well, that's the triangle. Is there any? Go ahead.
Yeah, like, so Tychovason is like a bad matchup, but I think that deck gets a slight nerf with Omens because I think all of the new heroes are going to be bad for it. The obvious thing that's changing is Acilia going away. Mario goes down a little bit. This list is built for Victor not being here. I don't expect Victor to be here. I would also play this list if I just expected no copies of combo Victor. The biggest thing is like taking out the Gravekeepings for like more impactful cards like Sigil of Souls 3, Jagged Edge number 3, and Pilfer the Tomb.
Yeah, this is the
And
card that you referenced earlier.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like you have to have one graveyard piece for Gravy Bones. I feel like the good Gravy Bones players, like Quan Li, are just gonna mess you up if you try and play into them with like without like at least one graveyard source.
Yeah, Scuba basically represents like 14 deck damage, 14 damage, because they just get back Leyline when they attack with Scuba, and then you have to clear Scuba. So like, also, some of them are running Whaler, and Whaler being 7 health is a little bit tough to deal with. So, like, this is a nice, clean answer against a lot of those, like, in particular, those two allies.
Yeah, I think if I can fit 2 copies, if there's a little less fatigue in the matter, and I can cut the third Raisin Army and for the second Pilfer, I think I'm probably going to switch the third Sigil to the second Nourishing, honestly, immediately after this video ends, now that I think about it.
Yeah,
I really want the second Nourishing.
Yeah, it's a really good card. It's a warrior favorite.
Yeah.
Only warriors and wizards can run it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think 2 Sigil is the sweet spot. Like, there really is, like, it sounds weird, there really is a sweet spot, and it really is 2. You play 3, sometimes it, like, lines up bad.
Yeah, if you play 2, like, they have to be worried about the third, and then your chance to draw 2 of them together is like 1 in 100 hands or something like that. So it's quite nice.
Yeah. So in terms of the new decks, I think the Ziggy matchup is very good because of one card right there, and it's called Jagged Edge. And when you have 2 swings in a turn, and one of them says Jagged Edge, turns out Illusionist is not very good at dealing with that. I think I've only lost 1 rated game to Prism ever.
Really?
He hit that nutty turn. He hit that nutty turn 0 library, and I was like, "Damn, this guy's the best."
Yeah.
And that game was still very close. Like, but the big thing I think is this deck has 3 Raisin Army in it. If you play against normal Victors, I think you'd need the 3rd Raisin Army. That was like the biggest taking I had from the Calling. Both my losses to Victor in the Swiss were because I just drew both my raises in the first turn.
Right. Yeah,
you need to go off like end of first cycle, and if you just can't do that because your raises are on the bottom of your deck, you just can't.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
If Victor goes, I would switch the 3rd raise into the 2nd Pilfer and just like make sure the gravy matchup is like locked down 100%, and also your ratio into like Pleiades and Jarl like really good.
Makes sense. Yep, still sticking with the 7 D-Reacts, take it on the chin, if you count that as a defensive card. You got 9 defensive cards. Seems good. 5 prevention effects. The ratios seem about the same. You know, a couple of changes here and there, though.
Yeah, we cut the second yellow slice and dice for the last raise. I think in hindsight, that was the better way of doing it. It was just like that change was very last minute. I think this deck, one consequence I haven't really talked about with playing 2 Rays and 2 Blood in our hands is your matchup into Huntsman gets a little bit statistically better. Because the only way you really lose the game is if they hunter a hunted Raisin Army.
So
like, they can hit the riches. Like, it's fine, but if they hit the Raisin Army, you actually like have to. I will say, even if they hit the Raisin Army, well, no, you can actually just still fatigue them with Hot Streak. You just have to. It's much closer, and you have to know how to do it. But if they don't hit the Raisin Army, it's like so much harder, and if you just only have 2 copies in your deck, it's so much less likely to happen.
Very, very complicated. All right, well, this is going to be a very, very fluid deck list because obviously every single week of Nats, the metagame could change potentially. I believe this year there's probably 4 weeks of Nats, so there's potentially 4 different metagames because several heroes are close to LLing. So, Speaking of which, Kassai is getting close to LLing, thanks to you.
My
You're,
bad, guys. My bad.
as a Bolton player, I'm going to be very sad to lose this card.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I got to nerf Bolton. I'm gonna text Matt Clark about that when that
I
happens.
got a combo people with hot streak. Ew.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm very happy about
yeah.
that.
So I mean, they potentially could make Kassai 2. Maybe they use the text from the original Kassai
I
from
was
Crucible.
thinking
We'll
about
see.
this and I was theory crafting it on my Twitter. I was theory crafting it on my Twitter mid tournament at Jakarta.
Yeah, really.
It was just like in between rounds. I was just like tweeting about it. I feel like the gold direction was cool and it made sense for heavy hitters. What I want for the next Kassai is to go back to copper and to use more like
because
I think
high striker.
The issues with Kassai, the issue with Kassai comes from the fact that like gold is kind of an evergreen mechanic now, and it has so many powerful payoffs and generation methods like riches. I think if we get Kassai 3, she should be Kassai Centauri Queen Royal Warrior talent hero. I don't know what the talent is. It's like some Volcor talent. But the talent has all of her gate-kept copper cards. And that basically, she plays very much the same. She very much has like still like the 2-card hands. We get Centauri Saber back for the 3rd time, because why not? And then she like plays very much generating copper tokens. And she has a different way of generating Centauri Cell Swords involving those and multiple of those, rather than Raisin Army. I think Raisin Army is kind of from a game design perspective, I think it's kind of sloppy. I don't think it's a great design. It's just like it's a very inelegant way of solving the fatigue problem.
Yeah, it's when when I first saw Raisin Army, I was like, well, now I can't complain about illusionists and board state decks, because now we are board state decks too. But I could definitely see maybe a different version of this.
Yeah, I think it's very flavorful.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I think it's incredibly flavorful, but it doesn't interact with the game in a positive way, which I think there's lots of that in Flesh and Blood. That's just the thing. It's a consequence of designing unique and powerful heroes that people become attached to. But I think making her toolkit based around copper would be a really interesting way of changing her identity. And you have to make a royal. She's the queen of this entire. Like,
there you go. That sounds great. That
makes sense.
All right, I guess we could kind of wrap things up here. Jake, do you have any, people you want to shout out? Maybe, I know you have like a Metafy guide and all that. Here's your tell the people where they can come find you.
So obviously there's the Kassai guide. It has literally all the information you could need on this deck. It's been in existence for we're in May. 9 months now. It's one of the most updated guides on the platform. All of my sideboard notes, I update it very frequently. I update the sideboard notes for my own use. What you're getting is what I use. There's also you can also get a pretty direct access line to me. My Discord is Diomedes in the purple Discord for Kassai, so I'm fairly oftenly checking that with some frequency. You can obviously check out gameplay from me on my YouTube channel, the Team Snapdragon's account, which of course shout out to the whole team. But also if you want to just hear more from me talking about the game, talking about my experience actually winning Jakarta, because we haven't even touched on the entire travel disaster that I had. And, we kept saying that everything went wrong this trip except for winning the calling.
Oh God,
everything nearly went to shit so many times. But yeah, so check out the Snapdragon's YouTube channel. If you want to see more of me, you can find me there. You can find me on the Metafy. If you want to text me something, just tag me in the Kassai Discord chat in purple. Shout out to all of my team, obviously. Shout out to Isaac and Sam. And shout out everybody from the Melbourne Fab community, because it's genuinely one of the most difficult places to play in the world. The amount of calling champions and calling top 8s from just this city is kind of crazy.
Yep. You guys have a little bit of a rivalry with Sydney?
It's not a rivalry. We're just trouncing them.
Oh, okay. It's not even close. I didn't even think about you guys.
Well, like I think like if you look at the stats, I mean, I'm pretty sure. So national champion wise, I'm pretty sure we have 5 or 6 national championships now. I think it's 5. 3 of them are from Melbourne. 2 of them from Sydney, which is Hayden and Nick. If we look at like calling champions in the countries, I think they've got us on that one by 1. But then if you count total calling champions from other people's countries, I'm pretty sure we've got them on that one as well.
There you go.
We didn't before, we've got now. So I'm looking forward to some stiff competition at NADS this year.
Yeah, that's coming up in just a couple weeks, so that'll be good fun. That'll be good fun. All right, well, I guess we'll kind of wrap things up. We'll have links and all that to all those things that Jake mentioned in the description. And yeah, I guess we'll just wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Josh and Jake. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching.
Hey man, did you get the KO deck for Worlds? No one's doing that, okay? Like,
Earned to play the whole horse now. Don't kill him. You're getting greedy. You're getting too Put him in the middle for now. That's perfect. All right, next year. RTN champion. Yeah, you're gonna have to order a couple more.
Thanks for watching the video.
Here's some more Card Guys videos you might enjoy.